Rob Hatter. You are now tuned in to the Chop Shop. I'm Retro. Let's get it. We in the Chop Shop. We live in the Chop Shop. We talking sports talk. We live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop. I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up. It's live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop. We live in the Chop Shop. We talking sports talk. We live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop. I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up. It's live in the Chop Shop. Yeah, it's lit in the Chop Shop. Turn your dials up in the drop top. They ain't based in debate, but they keep it fact straight. Going 30 for 30. Let's do a first take on Facebook Live from 12 to 2. Rob Hatter and Jim Hicks going back and forth like Claude Ray, Skip Bayless and Stephen Smith. From on the court, off the court, straight to the field. Not a man that steals, but I made it steal. To the octagon where I fight to kill. We go face to face, then you write your will. I don't play tennis, but I bring the racket. I'm on the floor, I attack the basket. Put you in the casket when I'm overlapping. Never showing mercy, cause I'm always snapping. Never showing mercy when I'm in the arena. Step into the ring, he hit me as I beat him. Step into the court, I'm never backing down. Killing competition, I'm smacking down. Let me get back to the other stuff at the Chop Shop, cause they cutting up. It's Retro coming to you live to the Chop Shop. Now let's turn it up. Yeah, we in the Chop Shop, man. Shout out to Jim Hicks and Rob Hatter. You can catch the Chop Shop live from 12 to 2 on Facebook Live. Let's get it. We in the Chop Shop. We live in the Chop Shop. We talking sports talk. We live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop. I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up. It's live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop. We live in the Chop Shop. We talking sports talk. We live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop. I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up. It's live in the Chop Shop.
H-Town, what's up? You know what time it is. It's time for the best 120 minutes of your day. The Chop Shop, the nation's #1 urban sports talk show, and also your midday sports happy hour. Yours truly, Robert Hatter, alongside Jim, the Cheat Sheet Hicks, coming to you live from Houston, Texas, but we're broadcasting all over the world via Facebook Live and YouTube Live. So join us. Hey, let me tell y'all something. Special day. We got special people. We got special guests. We got special announcements. But let me start off. It's Women Rock Wednesday, and I can never, every Wednesday, we got to shout out to all the women in everybody's life. I thank all the women. So this day is always dedicated to the women. Okay, but guess what, y'all? I got some news. I'm going to get to you real quick. The first African-American female staff member in the history of the Illini football program, Illinois University. Her name is Ashton Washington. She joins Lovie Smith's staff. But I'm going to show you what's so unique about that. She previously worked with the Houston Roughnecks, the now defunct XFL team, and she will be their director, Illinois' director of high school relations. Let me tell y'all something. It's so Lovie Smith. This what I love about it. They were getting on him, not really getting on him. The press said, "Man, you got so many African Americans on your staff." You know, Illinois. So always cheer for Illinois, y'all. He got a lot. They got him. And he just said something. He said, "Let me tell you something. Don't be surprised if we don't have a woman walking down this hallway one day." He said that back in February, Jimmy. And guess what? He made it true. So, Jimmy, what else we got before? Because Women Rock Wednesday, we got to talk about women's talk. And, Jimmy, I got a call in to Ashton Washington and going to try to get her on next week for Women Rock Wednesday. Just wanted to let you know that. So, what else you got?
Oh man, I mean we got a lot. Of course, joining us today, Women Rock Wednesday. We have a couple of college coaches. We're gonna take it out to the West Coast this afternoon, and we have Tony Stubblefield. He's the associate head coach at the University of Oregon, and also Damon Stoudemire former NBA star, former star from the University of Arizona. He was briefly as an assistant coach, and now he's running his own show at the University of Pacific, which is in California. And we're gonna talk with Coach Stoudemire. We're gonna talk with Coach Stubblefield and get their thoughts on a lot of things and help them to enlighten you guys and improve your understanding about a lot of aspects about recruiting, about the collegiate level collegiate basketball at their respective levels, and a lot more. So that's going to be starting at the top of the hour. We're going to be joined by them. Now for those had been informed, Coach Stoudemire will be coming on the back nine. Stubblefield will be coming on first. We did a little audible in the backfield on their times for those who had just tuned in. But first of all, we have a surprise for you guys coming up. And that is, when I say surprise, I mean a young man, a student athlete who's going into his 12th grade, his final term of high school. And this young man has decided, here's the thing what people are facing out there. He's decided to make a college decision today. Meanwhile, here's what they're facing. You guys may have heard that the NCAA is about 90% expected to remove the sit out, the transfer stipulations where most players will have to sit out. That will be starting probably next season with about 90% accuracy, expectancy. Well, here's the thing. If that's the case for next year, and you're in the class of 2021, your spring has already been eliminated. The opportunities to play in front of those Division I coaches. Your July has been eliminated. The opportunity to play in front of those college coaches. There is likely, as Penny Hardaway projected yesterday on the show, it is unlikely that they meaning the NCAA, could possibly make it a live period in August and or September. Well, here's the deal. So that means, think about this. For those young people, they get basically a 90-day window to audition for career-changing opportunities. Meanwhile, if they don't, the signing period is the second Wednesday of November. You could possibly play in front of the college coaches August, September, maybe. You got to sign the first week of the second Wednesday in November. If you don't, you get a couple of weeks span. If you don't, that means you have to wait until April, unless the NCAA adjusts the whole calendar. Here's what's at risk for any 2021 prospect out there. Think about it like this, how some people will wait until the spring. Now, if you don't sign in November, then you will be going head to head with every single, you think that transfer portal is great now? You watch next year, they will set a record. I'm taking all bets on that because the players will know for certain that they won't have to sit out. So that means all freshmen and sophomores, the schools, the D1 schools who are recruiting these young men and flirting with them right now, playing coochie coo with them right now or in the fall, they're going to play the same game with a grown man that's 20, 21 years old that can transfer, that played at another school. They're going to wait because the portal loads up once February, March rolls around. That's the difference now. So that means it's going to be a lot of 2021 kids that are going to be stuck out. And I've spoken with numerous college coaches. We're going to have 2 on the day. And truth be told, guys, many of those guys aren't even keen of actively recruiting the 2021 class without the prospect of sitting them out, redshirting them, I mean. So without further ado, this young man is on today. His name is Ramon Walker. Right? Ramon Walker is from Shadow Creek High School. Now, mind you, Shadow Creek High School has only been fielding varsity teams for 2 seasons. 2 seasons. That's it. Football team went to the state tournament back-to-back years. Both of those, right? Won it this past season. basketball team went to the regional final, one game, one quarter from going to state. They will move up into the 6A classification this season, away from the 5A, which a lot of the 5A teams, for us classification, that means based on their attendance, are applauding like hell. They're glad they're gone. But we're glad to have Ramon Walker live in the studio with us right now. I mean, live on the Chop Shop with us right now. Howard, this young man right here, you got a chance to see him play 3 times this season. Three times this season.
Don't want to see him no more. Don't want to see him no more. He can go to college right now, and I'm okay. Tell him why, Jimmy. Because a lot of people might not know why.
Yeah, because as Hightower, of course, is Hightower is very fun. Everybody is fond of some school or another, and he happens to be pretty fond of Hightower High School. And one thing I'm fond of, he knows I'm fond of this young man who in the regional tournament, 2 games, he dethroned Maynard with the little kid Shed, Jamal Shed, who's going to University of Houston. He whooped up on them. Then come on back and he produced a variety of threes. I think he scored. I can't remember the exact number that he scored in that regional final game, but he was clicking from downtown and showed his much improved ability to knock down the perimeter shots under pressure, under the big lights. And welcome to the Chop Shop, Ramon Walker. How are you feeling this morning or this afternoon, young man?
What's up, big fella?
Good. You good?
Yes, sir.
So now, what does, in this recruiting, first of all, what does it mean? What did it mean to not be able to play in front of the college coaches in April?
It was tough knowing that I wasn't going to be able to, showcase my talents to other coaches. I was told by my high school coach and my AU coaches that the way I was going, I was going to, they were going to start, the offers were going to start rolling in. But since what we're in right now, it's just, I'm going to have to deal with that.
And so now, no July as well. Right. Now, a lot of you, of course, when you're talking with your peers, what are you doing in the meantime to stay in shape? I mean,
what you been doing?
Are you, Fortniting it up? Are you in the driveway? You in the backyard, avoiding copperhead snakes or whatever they is going on in people's backyard nowadays? What's going on with you?
Just working out every day, making sure that I'm keeping my conditioning up, going for runs, making sure I keep my shot together, working on my ball handling, and that's every day.
Okay. Are you in the gym or you outside? Because it's hard to find gyms these days.
I'm outside in my
smart. And Ramon, don't pay attention to Jimmy. Y'all my second favorite team, man. I mean, I love when y'all playing anybody else, you can ask Sadale Williams. I'm cheering for Shadow Creek. But when y'all playing my little nephew, come on now, you know how that is. You know how that is. Blood thicker than mud. But y'all, I love your coach. I love your I met your principal, your assistant coach, Kevin Drones, a great friend of mine, and his son. So guess what? People talk about that stuff, but let me tell you something. Shadow Creek, I've always cheered for Shadow Creek. I always said it was my second favorite team. So, but Jimmy, he got something special today. He got his mom in there. And Happy Women Rock Wednesday to mom. And mom, we don't have you on the screen because we got it, 3 people on the screen. So it's just got Ramon in the middle of the screen. But Dad sitting there, and Jimmy, you got to realize, Jimmy, I go, Andre Johnson come to the game with me, right? When they played in it. And Andre said something to me. He said, man, my teammate, that's his son. All of this time, I did not know Ramon Walker, former Houston Texans, that was his son. Not one time did it cross my mind. I mean, I never, and because guess what I love about him? The kid built his relationship on his reputation on his own. I don't even remember Daddy. I remember Ramon Walker who you got to watch out for every time he play. But it was so unique knowing, and I said, wow, because I remember your dad when he played because Andre Johnson and I are close friends. So, man, it's just funny that happened. Proud of your son, and I know you got a great announcement. But Jimmy, this Jimmy's cup of tea right here. I'm gonna let him have this.
Yeah, well, we want to ask, of course, you say your dad played for Texas. Tell him that's your dad right there on the side of you. Let him slide. Well, we can see him.
No, we can see him, but the people can't see him. Hold up.
People can't see him.
No,
so
guess what? No, hold on. No, I'm gonna put them in the screen by themselves. I'm gonna take me and you out the screen. I got them in the whole screen.
There you go. Now,
there
Pop,
you go.
Tell us the viewers when you played in the NFL for the Texans, and where are you guys from?
We're from Ohio. I'm from Ohio. My wife's from Pennsylvania, Akron, Ohio, home of LeBron James. You know, my wife's from a small town in Pennsylvania. We've been here since I played football here, and you know, we decided to make it our home, and we love it here. So we've been here ever since.
Okay. Mama, you got something to say? It's Women Rock Wednesday.
I'm the real athlete in the house. I'm only athlete to win a state championship in the house, so he has one more year to try and beat me out. So
really,
watch this.
Say it with your chest, then.
Say it with your chest, Mama. I like that.
What school did you win your state title at?
It's a small school in Pennsylvania, Farrell, Pennsylvania, on the western coast, right up against Ohio.
Wow. I like that.
And so now Ramon has been, of course, basketball star. I mean, was it ever football? I mean, Pops, I know that kind of hard to go on the other side.
No, I always knew, man, the beating I took out on that field that, you know, my sons were going to have a different path. So he actually played baseball at first, and then he dropped baseball and, you know, picked up a basketball and decided that's what he wanted to do. So he's been at it ever since, man.
That's a good thing. Now, the basketball thing appears to have worked out for you. What are some of the schools, Ramon, that you had offers from leading up until this point that you were considering?
I had offers from University of Houston, Texas State, North Texas, Sam Houston State, Texas Southern, Tulsa, Rice, and McNeese State.
And McNeese. And so you are here to let us know that you've made a decision amongst those schools, right?
Yes, sir.
And how did you come to this conclusion before letting them know what the school is? How did you come to this conclusion, and who all were included in the process?
Well, I talked to my parents about it, and I just looked at the overall situation that I was in, and I thought that the school that I picked was the best fit for me. And I was talking to my parents about it, and they thought it was the best fit for me too. I was talking to my high school coach, my AAU coaches. They're all talking how that I should be happy with what I picked, and they're happy for me and stuff.
And so you made the decision. Just tell us, mom or dad, your decision. Is it which one of the parents is your decision going to make happy?
They would be happy anywhere I go.
Okay.
We talking free school, so we happy.
Hey man, Jim. Hey, don't worry about Jimmy. Jimmy, you ain't breaking up that happy home right there, boy. That's a unified front right there, baby.
Well, I was gonna see if I could get University of Anchorage on the phone to offer him, because it don't matter where he's going. And we see how that.
Not gonna happen.
Without further ado, of course, now you played grassroots basketball, and last season you played. Tell us about your grassroots experience. And I always try to ask a lot of young guys, how did that experience help you in any way? Of course, before getting to this point, that's been incomplete of your grassroots season.
It helped me tremendously because that was my first season playing on this, like a big circuit, and it took me like some time getting used to. But as I started getting used to it, I just started playing at a higher and higher level, and that eventually carried over into the high school season, and then therefore just.
Which program was it with? You didn't say which program.
But I was with Texas Hard Work.
So that's why you got the Under Armour connection that you have with your high school. Are they connected? What's going on?
No, that district, Jimmy. I know that answer. That district has Under Armour, and because I know Hightower use it too. I got you back, Ramon. I got you, baby. Don't worry about it.
I mean, inquiring minds just want to know. And now, meanwhile, in the school, without further ado, you can go and take the floor and let us let us know your thoughts and share with us your decision. And for a lot of the viewers out there that are watching.
So after thinking about it and talking it over with my parents, coaches, I decided that I want to commit to.
Can't wait. Wow! Wow! Ramon, guess what you gonna do to me now, man?
We staying home.
Ramon, no, guess what? Let me explain something to you, baby. Now, guess what, Ramon? Ramon, I happen to graduate from a university called the University of Memphis. Now you're gonna be on. Come on, man. I'm trying to be with you, baby. But let me tell you something. I love that choice. I love U of H. Man, U of H, hold up. U of H lose one yesterday and gain one. Wow. Unbelievable. What you got to say, Jimmy?
I mean, I'm looking and I'm like, they're suited and booted. They got the U of H and it came. They like Lenny on Good Times. He came out of the thing, got forks and spoons and everything. I mean, and so now University of Houston, tell us a little bit about that decision and why. What does it mean now? Because I'm looking now, Tremont Mark is going in there this year locally, and you're the following class going into deciding to stay home.
Love it.
What does that mean?
It's the perfect situation over there for me. I've been talking to Coach Sampson a lot, and what he's been telling me is that just how everything is going over there and the situation I'm going to be in is just it all played out. It plays out for me in the long run, and my decision to go there. Coach Sampson, he's going to help me do what I want to do, and that's win championships and hopefully get drafted.
Hopefully get drafted. And of course, Nate Hinton has recently announced that he's going to remain in the draft and after his sophomore season. And so now you're looking in there, you mentioned that Kevin Sampson, and part of your dream is to get drafted. How do you expect Coach Sampson to help, accelerate that process?
Just I've been to their practices, and just the way he coaches, I know it's gonna prepare me for the next level, and the way he holds his players to high expectations. It's just at my high school, that's what our high school coach has been doing. He's been holding us to high expectations. He's been coaching us hard, and I think that's going to translate over to college because I've already been in that environment. I know what's expected of me.
And man, just tune in. Ramon Walker,
unbelievable.
Shadow Creek High School has just committed to University of Houston in an unexpected announcement, and he's part of the class of 2021. And so now that means, of course, I'm looking. I saw a couple other young men from that class has also received offers from U of H, and most notably is JVR Francis. So as you as a recruit, will you be out there trying to influence your peers to come and join you? Is this part of the first step in a fab, whatever, coming into U of H from local kids?
Yes, sir. Of course.
That's great. That's great, man. I'm sitting over here quiet, Ramon, cause you fool me, dude. I think that's a great situation for you. I watch your game. Um, the way you can shoot it, he loves to let his guards shoot it. Man, let me tell you something. And all you got to do is defend when you and I know president don't play that over there. All you got and let me tell you something, man. I did not. I had no idea, and I'm surprised. Usually, I get some kind of wind or something happened, but I'm surprised, and I'm so proud that you're staying at home. And I know, let me tell you, you can say what you want. I know Mom had a great deal of influence on this. Moms don't lack all the time for them babies to go out of town. I'm just telling you, believe you me, my mama didn't want me to go nowhere. So that's why I stayed in Memphis. So I know exactly what you're talking about. What you say,
Yeah, Mom,
Jim?
what are your thoughts, Mom?
I think it's amazing. I'm very excited to have him nearby. That allows us to be able to attend all of his games and whatnot. We plan to travel away some of the away games, so we're excited. We're very excited.
I know. Wow.
So now, did you, in the process, I'm just curious, like as far as I always try to get understanding, did you guys manage to talk with, first of all, Ramon and the parents separately? Did Ramon, did you manage to talk to any of the current or former players from University of Houston and inquire about insights about the program? Parents, did you talk to any of the parents of the student athletes from within the basketball program to gain any intel as well?
I didn't really talk to anybody. I've been up there the past couple of years. I've been up there a lot, so I just know what they do, how they expect things to run, and I thought it was a perfect fit for me.
And the parents, did y'all speak with any of the parents? Just
I haven't been able to.
I actually have a good friend of mine. His nephew went there. His name's Brayon. He went there a couple years ago. He graduated last year, I believe. But I talked to him about it, and he speaks nothing but good things about the program. And it's always good to have somebody that's been there and inside the program and close to home. So yeah, we had a little bit of influence there.
I got a secret for you, Ramon. I got a secret. That's just what I want you to do. They got a guy on that staff named Bilal Badley. Okay, he's part of their support staff. Make sure you build a great relationship with him, because he's got the ear. All of these guys got the ear of the coach, but he's got the heartbeat of the program, and he will help you a whole lot. He's more closer than your age than the rest of the guys, and he will help you a whole lot when this thing about college life and about what's to see. Your transition ain't gonna be about basketball. We know you can play basketball. It's your time management and your devotion to, hey, I'm a freshman. You go in there. Let me tell you something, and I'm gonna tell you, don't you ever forget this. When you go in there, that first day of practice, that first day of open gym, you go in there and whoever's guarding you, whoever playing your position, you guard him and you tear his head off that first time y'all play and put your foot on it and guess what? And next thing, and you call your daddy back that night, said, Daddy, there's a new sheriff in town. Don't you get intimidated be respectful, but you come into the first day, you say, you playing my position? I'm guarding him. I don't care who it is. Those are the kind of attitudes that you got to bring, and guess what? Those kind of things help a young guy out, man. I'm just so proud of it. I had to give you, I don't give no player that too much of that, especially over the air. But let me tell you something. Man, go get your thing. Go Cougs. All I got to say is go Cougs right now. What you got, Jim?
I mean, of course, we're talking about a young man had 24 points a game, 6 rebounds a game.
I know.
3 steals a game.
I know.
2.5 assists a game. I mean, feel the stat sheet. I mean, 6'4", 6'5"-ish. I mean, and his perimeter game, and just he's athletic.
Yes.
He fits. You're looking at the guards that University of Houston has. had over the past 2 years.
Mhm.
He fits right in,
Yes.
like you said, and I'm thinking about it. I'm like, wow.
Yes.
So, I mean, now what position-wise, Ramon, how would you describe your game? I just provided the end results, your productivity on paper, but it's more than just stats. They only can tell so much. How do you describe your game?
I describe my game as an athletic guard who can knock down the 3-ball, who can get to his spots, hit all dribble mid ranges, get to the basket if I need to, and I can lock up on defense on the other end.
Yeah.
And indeed, man,
Blocked a few shots. You blocked a few shots I didn't like for you to block too. I'm not gonna call no name. Yeah.
Now, of course, the Shadow Creek.
No, Jimmy, hold on, Jimmy. I got to tell him. Coach Woods from Hightower is on the screen. And guess what he said? He said the most underrated part about his game that people don't talk about, his ability to rebound the basketball. Ramon's ability to go in there and get rebounds that just wasn't supposed to be his, and he went and took them. So I like that. That's your opposing coach saying that about you, Doc. That you must show up film a lot. It must show up on film a lot when he see you. But what was you about to say, Jimmy? What was you about to say?
I mean, I'm thinking about the program. Shadow Creek, of course, as I mentioned, they'll be going to 6A this coming season.
Yes.
What are your thoughts about the possibility of starting the season with limited fans in attendance?
That's definitely going to be a factor because we feed off our fans' energy. But at the end of the day, we got to come and play, and we got to do what we're supposed to do to win.
Now, of course, you guys are set to open the season Saturday, I want to say November the 15th in the season opener. That's at the Campbell Center, which fortunately, that's a big enough venue to definitely implement whatever COVID-19 concerns are still in effect by the time November comes around. It's an 8,000 seat arena. So trust me, there's enough room to space a lot of people out. Ramon, I'm gonna look you dead in the eyes. What team do you want me to? I gotta finish making this schedule. What team you want Shadow Creek to play against this year to open up with?
Don't do it, Ramon. Don't.
We want Legacy.
Ooh.
Well, they're not in it. Then I would love to see that happen.
We can't let them in.
What? Yeah, okay. Yeah, in the vintage field, we could not get Legacy in there. So now, come on to the next one.
What's your second pick?
Then so you gotta give us Hightower then.
Wait a minute. You played Hightower 3 times last year. They beat you twice, right? Right? And sent you home. Matter of fact, Shadow Creek's uniforms in the cleaners right now.
Don't say that to him, man.
On 525, 529, whatever name that street is over there by your school.
518.
518, that's what it is. So you mean tell me you want another piece of that?
Want it.
He do, Jimmy. Yeah.
Okay.
Guess what? They want him too. They like playing. Hey, y'all think about it. Did y'all see how intense them games? I know Dad was there. Did y'all see how intense those 2 games were? Man, them was 3 of the best games I've seen all season, competitive-wise. So, yes, I like that, Ramon. I like that. But Jimmy ain't going to let that happen. I promise you, Ramon, he's not. So, Ramon, give him a third choice, please.
I can give it to him at the Hoops Giving Classic.
I'm talking about, see that, there you go. Messy Marvin over there, man. That's Messy Marvin.
I'm talking about that Legacy game. I can make it happen at the Hoops Giving Classic.
Hold up. Ramon, what about Yates? You don't want none of Yates? Huh?
We'll play against anybody.
Okay, I got you. Okay. Because there's some Yates fans on here talking about what about them? Hey, so Ramon said he'll give it to y'all too over there, Yates.
Yeah. So in last thoughts, Ramon, any advice you have for any of your fellow class of 2021 basketball fraternity as they attempt to make their college decisions in the near future? What advice do you have for people out there to watch?
just to not feel pressured by like any outside voices, and to know what's going to just do what you feel is right and how you feel you're going to fit in with that program that you're considering, and just make sure everything's right and just go for it.
You know what?
Now,
Ramon, I didn't think. You got to understand, sometimes the old man don't think they do. But somebody brought it to my attention. Robert, it's okay. See, the reason I didn't want y'all to play Hightower, because I'm thinking y'all in the same district. Y'all not going to be in the same district next year. So, Jimmy, make that happen, baby.
Alan, you better be careful what you wish for. This young man asked for them.
Make that. Watch this. Watch this. Hold on. This for Ramon right here. Hey, make that happen, baby. Now.
Boy, hey, shout out to Coach President over there in the Shadow Creek program. And you know what? I might have to go start working on this schedule today. That's what I'm going to do. Meanwhile, congratulations, of course, going to University of Houston. If you just tune in, Ramon Walker, a rising senior over at Shadow Creek High School, guys. He's just made the move. He's ranked as it stands. Okay. Of course, this is before the grassroots season began. Okay. He was listed as number 3 in Greater Houston amongst the class of 2021. That means he's part of the magna cum laude of this class. And understand that's really, really big. You think about U of H. I mean, Tremont Mark this season from Dickinson High School. Right. Before then, you had Fabian White from Atascocita High School. You had before him, you had of course Cedric Alley, who's transferred, but Chris Harris from Madison High School, Galen Robinson from Westbury Christian High School. These people will understand, if you let them, they will feed the narrative U of H, why they can't get kids to stay at home. Well, this is one thing about this young man. Of all those players I just mentioned, none of them committed before their senior season. Okay. None of them committed before June. You follow me?
I got you.
It's still May.
I got you.
That means now we're going to see. I'm going to check out your recruiting skills and see, Ramon, if you as good of a recruiter, because now college coaches watch that.
Yes.
Now there's life after basketball. So if they can see you recruiting players, then you can possibly set the grounds to be a college coach one day or recruit. So people watching that.
Jimmy, he's going to be a school president. He's going higher than the college. He's going to be the AD. You feel me? This next generation, we thinking high. We might not want to be the coach. We might want to be the coach's boss. Okay? Don't forget that, Ramon.
And shout out, of course, sorry for all you guys out there. Yes, I stopped only 5 players in, but yes, before Galen Robinson, it was Damian Dotson, it was Joseph Young. I mean, they have continuously gotten one within every 2-year span of the local crop. And the thing is, as I said, if you can get one and be consistent with that, that means you will always have 1/3 of your scholarship players will be locally. If you do the math, just do the math. If you're getting one that means you will have 1/3 of the 12 scholarship players will be from your local pool your local base. And that's a great thing. Congratulations, Ramon. Congratulations, Mom and Pop. Great decision. It looks like a great young man, and that's a lot of the University of Houston fan base is joined on the feeds. Yes. They're watching, and this is one of the platforms. The purpose of this is to allow the fan base, to allow the community to be able to introduce themselves better with the player, with the person, as not just the name that they probably have heard about. And this is why one of the things why the Chop Shop is great. Nobody out there in the media is going to give and allocate 15 to 20 minutes of their airtime to go to an amateur athlete, student athlete. They're not going to do it. They got things to do. We are with you, man. Great job. And that's the thing is, as you and going on in. Meanwhile, it's one game. You got to remember now. Look in the camera. See that man with his head turned backwards? That's Memphis. Memphis. That's all you got to remember. But whenever you hit that bucket, look over at him. Go cool sign right now.
Hey, hold on, Jimmy. He already used to that. He did me like that when they played High Tower. He already been doing me like that. Yeah.
He's gonna double down like in blackjack this time because he's gonna have a reason. Show us your go cool sign. You got your cool. What's your cool sign? You got it yet?
Oh, that's how you do it. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah. You're gonna
Good
learn.
job. I'm so proud of it.
Guys. Appreciate it, man. Ramon Walker to University of Houston. He's class of 2021. And that is a great thing, great piece of news to start today's show off. And of course, coming up at the top of the hour, we're going to be joined by Tony Stubblefield, associate head coach at University of Oregon, and he will be followed by Damon Stoudemire, the head coach of the University of Pacific, located in California. These two college coaches are going to address and help all of us enlighten our understanding about the collegiate basketball as well as the recruiting process, and they're going to also indulge and help us understand or gain a better understanding about the APR. And speaking of the APR, Hatter, did you see the news and see what happens with a lot of these colleges and the APR? Did you see that?
Yeah. Some colleges that we know about too. Jimmy, I text you, said, Jimmy, how did this go up on our radar? And yeah, I mean, it's all good. Hey.
Amongst those colleges that are postseason facing ineligibility for postseason play this year is as far as Alabama A&M, men's basketball, track and field, and soccer. Alabama State, men's basketball. Coppin State, women's track and field. Delaware State, men's basketball. Grambling State, men's track and field. Howard, football. McNeese, football. Prairie View, football. And women's basketball got a slap on the wrist. They will have to reduce practice times. Southern University, men's cross country, men's track and field. And of course, SFA, baseball, football, and men's basketball. And understand, more than half of those schools that I just mentioned, Hatter, are HBCUs. More than half, HBCUs. And it's understand something. As much as we try to paint the narrative or plant this narrative, the seed for people to go and support the HBCUs, guys to come back, HBCUs, do your thing. Then it seems like as much as you get, as soon as you gain some ground, you hear news as such that will come out. The grades and the grade requirements are no different if you're at University of Texas than if you're at Texas Southern. As far as student athletes, the requirements as far as being eligible, they're no different. Now the classes may be different depending on what you're majoring in. The professors may be different, but Alabama State, right, just hired Mo Williams, former NBA player from Jackson, Mississippi. So we had the young man. What's the young man name that made the college decision last week? We had him on the
Trace Young.
Trace Young.
Yeah.
He decides he's going to Alabama State.
Wow.
Alabama State isn't eligible for postseason play this year. I'm curious if Trace knew that hammer was coming down before he made his commitment and signed his paperwork. Because here's the thing, I understand people say, well, man, that's his fault, he should have asked. Come on now, you know this playing field is not level. You know it's not level. And just because you ask doesn't mean, understand, that coach is coming in. He committed to Mo Williams and his incoming staff. If that young man wanted to get out of that commitment, he should be allowed to do so by the NCAA without any penalty whatsoever. He should. Now, at the same time, this is the one, let it be a teaching moment for all you people out there. When you're considering schools, consider and ask questions about the APR. That those questions would be best addressed to the compliance person at the school, not the college coach, in my opinion. Well, we're going to ask 2 college coaches later on and get their opinions, which are more professional than mine when it comes to that topic. So mind you, my opinion says ask the compliance person, because you know why? It goes on his or her shoulders as far as the compliance aspect about this APR. And it's just, I'm just saddened by it. And I'm looking at it and it's like all these HBCUs.
You see, I'm quiet over here. I'm gonna let you keep talking because I'm just disappointed. It's just mostly disappointed for me.
It's man. So that's the thing. I mean, I'm looking, and new news, and according to the NCAA's website, just released within the hour, another notice, a memo about the SFA. It says, according on the NCAA website, that the Stephen F. Austin lacked institutional control over the certification process.
That's not an HBCU now.
No.
Okay.
That's why I'm not. That's not HBCU.
Okay.
No. But this is a school who only lost 3 or 4 games this past season, beat Duke earlier this year. They're picked to win the Southland Conference next year. The NCAA, guess what they did, Al?
What did they do?
After you come out with this memo today saying you lack the institutional control over the certification process, they didn't let SFA serve their suspension this year. Meaning the NCAA, allowing SFA to skip a year. They don't have to serve it until the following season. This year, SFA returns a stacked deck. If you're playing cards, loaded dice. If you're a hustler, this year they're picked to run away with the conference this year. I have never heard.
Well, Jimmy, they should be good at basketball because it seemed like that's where they were all the time. Nothing. I'm just looking at the facts. They should be great. They shouldn't lose a lot of games. Maybe they were in the gym more than we can tell they was in the gym more than the classroom. So this is some very, very unique thing. And you know, in my thing, and somebody might need to help me out. How can you spend all that time on these campuses, man, and not just do the required work? I'm not telling you to be a rocket scientist, but just do the required stuff. Be in class, show up in class. Jimmy done told you some teachers, they just want to see you in there. It's a lot of neglect been going on, and maybe some of these college coaches can tell us how. Jimmy, I just want to know, how could this happen in 2020? How can this happen? Unbelievable.
And one of the coaches, of course, Slim McDaniel's on the feed. Welcome on to the show, Slim, today. And of course, he has a direct interest in the active program. To mind you guys, these sanctions, these decisions that was rendered from the NCAA upon SFA is not in any way reflected or attached to this 2019 to 20 basketball team. It has
What
zero.
about the staff?
But it does reflect on the staff for whomever was in active position during the seasons 2015, 2016, and I think I'm not sure if the 17 season or not, but I know 15 and 16 for certain is the year that. But and I mean,
And Jimmy,
the thing is,
I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why I have a problem. Okay, and maybe not a problem, but I'm just trying to get an understanding, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, from my point of view, I was in Memphis these last couple of years. I saw that coach we had on here yesterday, Penny Hardaway. He took out time of his day. He go and check to make sure everybody's in class. Listen, y'all, that was not for a social media play. I was there one time. He said, "Hold up, man, I got to go." He got in his golf cart, because the facility. He got in his golf cart, drove over there, and went to everybody's class. He's sitting there, and he wanted him in the front of the class. It was you. I was laughing about it then. You follow me? I was laughing about it. But let me tell you something. And I asked him, he said, "Robert, I know what I did as a player." He said, "I know what I did as a player. I'm going to check on mine." I said, "Wow." And maybe some coaches might be out of touch and don't understand that some of these players, they just might not. I don't know. I'm just looking for answers here. And listen, y'all, I'm just looking for answers, Jimmy. I'm sorry. And we have some college coaches on, and maybe they'll help us.
I mean, absolutely. And this is one of the topics that, and of course, and I see Forbes mentions that Alabama State was already in trouble. That's why they have to go on postseason next year. Well, that's Alabama State was akin to, in the situation they were in, was akin to what Prairie View's women basketball team is in right now. That means once you go up under that threshold, once you get to flirting with that threshold or get right up under it, and I think the number is, I want to say it's a 930. That's the APR. That's just imaginary number. Don't worry about what it means right now. Just remember that number, and we'll get the coaches to come to detail that.
You said 930?
930 is the magic number, right?
Okay.
Now Prairie View's women basketball had a 919, right? The football had a 910, right? Stephen F. Austin basketball had an 810 in comparison. 930 is the threshold. So basically, and what I'm saying is, women's basketball from PV they're not excluded from postseason contention. As a result, they will have, I want to say, practice time reduced this year. So that means Jackson State, a year or season ago, they had the opportunity to in other words, it gives you an opportunity to go and police up yourselves and get right before, and the hammer will come down if you don't at the end of the season, which is what's happening right now for a lot of schools. You can see this coming. Think about it. If it's 2016 is the seasons that most of these decisions are rendered on, then this is 2020. So it's understand, guys, this is just not good, because the question that comes to the forefront is, who's to blame? Who's to blame? If you ask the college coaches, they'll say, "Hey, man, we can't do the work for the kids. We give them tutors. We tell them where they're supposed to be at. A lot of them go to the tutoring sessions. And the thing is, how the APR work, guys, like I said, in a GIST, I understand it, but I can't, not to the point where I can.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I don't want to give you no false.
Define it.
Yeah.
But I do know one thing. If players who are not in academic good standing transfer out of your school in abundance, that's the kiss of death for your school with an APR. So it's one of those things where you got to keep them. It enforces you, you got to keep them. If you let them go and they're not in good standing, then you can take a hit. If not, that's the catch to it. Once again, that's in a gist, I'm paraphrasing the situation.
And thank you, Robin Beavers. If you really want to know about it, go to the NCAA website, and it got a lot more. That's not my expertise. That's why I'm sitting over here. Hey, I'm soaking up. I'm gonna learn about it. I never had that problem, so I just never. And luckily we got somebody just joining that probably can explain the API to y'all.
APR,
Jimmy. The APR to y'all, because guess what? Robert and Hatter, he's in his dressing room. We getting him in makeup and all that kind of stuff, and making sure his sound equipment is on. But he'll be ready in a second. But Jimmy, do me a favor. Okay, you good? Just come up in the screen a little bit. You're a little bit downer than you usually be. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, I'm trying to direct. I'm trying to be a little director right here. But Jimmy, what I would do, without further ado, we got a special man, and I'm gonna let you introduce him because I like the way you introduce. Hold up now, you gave Penny a great introduction yesterday. You can't short my man down now. I know you were trying to show out in front of me, but this my dude too. So let's give him the same introduction or better that you gave Penny yesterday.
I mean, well, the difference between this young man and Penny is Penny had a nickname.
Okay, got you. I got you. Okay.
So, but one thing about this young man right here, man, I mean, he's a great friend and a great inspiration for a lot of coaches around the country, and he's very well respected. And I'm not talking about just in Texas, around the country, amongst his peers. And that's the thing. And the thing about it, he's shown a consistent and effective rate of manner of which he has successfully recruited from all four corners of the country. Well, no matter where you're from, including Texas, he's get you and landing them out no matter wherever he's been. And this right now, and most recently from Houston, he's had one from Texas that just transferred out last year. But one, especially from Houston, you guys remember Joseph Young, Damian Dotson, got him to come over to Oregon. Rest is history. And that is, without further ado, we got the man with the man. Understand something. I'm talking about, think of him as the star face of all assistant coaches. He ain't Tony Montana, but he's Tony Stubblefield, baby. We'll take it like that. What's going on here?
What's going on, Boston? Wait, Hicks, I don't know if I can even live up to all that, man. I really got to take you to Papados next time I come your way. I owe you a nice platter for that one.
Hey, Coach, I'm glad you take him to Papados. You remember that day you said you was about to go to Steak 48? I was trying to catch you. I like Steak 48.
I tell you what, we can do that one too. I like Steak 48. You know, Hicks was the one to put me on to Steak 48, so I can do that one for you too.
Okay. All right.
Now, Coach, get right into it. Explain the APR. First of all, what does it what does it stand for, right? First of all, and can you, because we're trying to teach a lot of people, and actually before you came on, ask these questions because people really don't understand what APR is, because they get it confused, as Hatter just did with API.
Yeah,
and so, tell them the difference between the two, first of all.
Well, the APR is basically, it's not basically, it's all predicated on the academics, the GPA, the retention, guys returning to school, guys leaving if they don't leave with a certain GPA, of losing points, guys graduating, of earning points. So that's basically the APR and what it consists of in a nutshell. Whereas the you're talking about with the API, or not the APR, but you were to RPI, that's more with the scheduling, with who you're playing, the opponent you're playing, the win, whether it's on the road, whether it's at home, how much you win by. So there is a distinct difference. But that APR is definitely it's very tricky because, again, it's kind of set up to discourage guys from transferring, which I don't necessarily think that's the case, because if guys are going to leave, they're going to leave. But if guys leave without achieving a certain GPA with all these transfers now in the transfer portal, if them guys don't have a certain APR, you're going to take an academic hit. Guys leaving to go to the NBA, if they don't leave with a certain APR, if they leave, with failing grades and things like that without withdrawing, you're going to take certain APR hits. But again, you can get retention points by guys leaving with the right GPA, guys leaving to go sign a professional contract. So it's a lot of different moving parts that you really got to stay on top of academically just to make sure these guys are on track. And, unfortunately, there's been some schools that fell below the point where, there's a postseason ban, but it's all correlated over the course of 4 years, your score. So you can kind of look at it and kind of juggle some things. And again, it's a situation where guys really got to take care of their business, academically to stay on top of things. And guys that don't, it can really hurt you.
Wow, Coach, I got a question. Do you have a particular person? Do you have the APR czar? Like got the czar of the telestrator. Do each program? Do you have one guy or a staff of guys that's because that seemed like a tall order, and I'm just trying to figure how do y'all regulate it and how do you police it?
Well, we do have one guy that's in charge of it on our staff, and we have him in charge. He's a liaison with academics as well, and then we have a point person with compliance, and we're kind of monitoring these guys throughout the course of the year to see where they're at academically. And it's a situation where, D's are going to hurt a GPA. C's are just going to keep you even. I mean, you really want to try to get some A's and B's to boost that GPA up. So if you see where a guy is struggling possibly in the class, you get to the point where you might need to withdraw, or you might need to, put him in the pass-fail situation. So you definitely got to monitor it, else, it could go bad on you very quickly. So, you got to have a point person, I think, for it to keep you on track. And, when guys are withdrawn from class, to make sure that they still have enough hours to maintain their eligibility. I think a big part of it is guys going to summer school, trying to get ahead of the game during the summer school. So, summer school used to be a time kind of to take off and kind of just chill, where now you got to get ahead of the game in summer school by taking a class or two, because, you might have a slip up or two during the course of the year where you get a D or you might flunk a class. So you got to be prepared for those scenarios. But I think it is best. And we have about 3 people that are in charge of our APR situation that stay on top of it, have done a really good job for us.
But let me piggyback off of Jimmy, off that same thing, because someone just came up, our chief antagonist on the show. He said, you're a high major program. Y'all have it all. So what's the difference? Because I know coaches with smaller budgets.
Yes.
You know all the coaches almost. How do they handle it, Coach? Like the Alabama States or the smaller budget schools, they might not have a staff of 3 that on top of it. How do they cope?
Again, I totally agree with that. Fortunately at Oregon, we have the resources where we can have 2 or 3 people on that job to kind of stay on top of it with our academics. Again, a situation like Alabama State, where I don't know all the specifics of that, but they might not have the same resources. So I think a big part of that is when you take a job like Alabama State, or whatever type of job it is that's a lower level where you can't hire those type of people. I think you got to have somebody on your staff that's very well educated in the APR, in academics. That's part of their job responsibility. Because again, I just don't think you can let it go unnoticed, because you're going to get caught up in a bad spot. So I think that's a matter, whether it's your operations guy, whether it's your third assistant, they got to be very in tune with the APR, communicating with the head coach, and kind of trying to stay on top of the guys academically to make sure you're not losing points. And again, if you do see where a young man is transferring or whatever the situation may be, you want to try to protect yourself. But again, again, smaller schools that don't have the same resources, I think you have to use somebody on your staff that can help with that.
What year was the APR instituted around? You know, like I mean,
Ooh.
you don't need to know exact year, but about how long has it been approximately?
I would say probably the last 7 or 8 years is when it's really came into play and been very big. And again, I think, it was trying to discourage young men from transferring or trying to, encourage you to have the guys do as well as they can academically. But, unfortunately, some of them things can be out of your control. If a young man comes in and decides to leave, whether he's got a 2.75 or 2.6 or 2.0, he's going to leave. Now one thing, you have to leave academically eligible from your institution to receive the scholarship at the next institution that you're going to. So that's one thing that I think helps, where a young man just can't leave academically in bad shape and go somewhere else and get an athletic scholarship. So, that's a big part of it. And again, last 8 years, APR has been very big, and it might be the last 9 or 10. I can't recall exactly when it came into play, but it's definitely a big component.
Jimbo?
And we have questions right now from the Boom Boom Room. Remind you guys, we're streaming live simultaneously, YouTube and Facebook.
Yes.
We're on both platforms. So in case the one did not know about the other, people are commenting on both platforms, and we'll try to get to most of your questions, if not all of them, with Coach Tony Stubblefield. And we want to ask you guys that's watching on the Facebook feed right now, if you would take out the time to share the show with your timelines and your friends right now. Or even if you're a member of one of the basketball groups out there, share this show right now with them. There could be somebody who's a friend of yours or a follower or whatever that may be able to get some of this intel. If you're on the YouTube feed, give us a thumbs up right now if you're watching the show right now. Shout out to you guys over there as well. Now, we have another question going back to the Boom Boom Room. And Coach Stubb, they asked, are the academic student-athlete support systems different, which you skate and you skirted on just a while ago? Just want to give confirmation. Are they different for the support system?
As far as the academic support staff, as far as the counseling, as far as the support the athletes have academically, I think it's dramatically different from which level you're at. And again, it goes back to the resources. I think at Oregon, or I know we at Oregon, that we put a lot of resources into academic support, the tutoring, and trying to make sure these guys can be accessible as they can be. We have learning specialists. We have a lot of one-on-one tutoring. We don't do a lot of group study halls, but we do a lot of one-on-one and a lot of learning specialists. Goes back to when we travel, we take tutors on the road with us, but that's just from a resource standpoint, something that every school probably can't do or afford to do. We charter everywhere, so it's much easier to take our academic support staff with us. So again, we may be on the road in LA playing UCLA and USC, but our guys academically during the day are still doing 2 or 3 hours of classroom work as if they were back in Eugene, Oregon still. So to answer that question, yes, it is different all across the board. And again, I just think you got to do the best way you can wherever you're at.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is some good stuff right here.
Great stuff, Doc.
And I mean, it really is. And so I hope you guys are taking notes like I am right now. And another question is from our feed is, what is happening, right? What violations are happening to not allow postseason play? So we're going, in other words, I think one of the viewers are asking to dig a little deeper and giving examples in basketball, because that's your sport. In basketball, what are the common factors that contribute to being in this situation? And how long does it actually take normally for a school to get placed on the probation?
That's the tricky part, because, it goes in 4-year increments. It could go in 2-year increments. So to the best of my knowledge, they want you to have at least a 930 or higher. So when you score below that 930, you're in red alert. You need to have some good years, and it can be based off of a 4-year average. So again, once the school goes below a 930 for so long, that's when you're in trouble of missing the postseason. So that's what we read about some schools yesterday. And again, there could have been a computer glitch or some things that possibly happened at one of the schools that I saw. But it's below that score, 930 is when you're in trouble. Now, the best score you can have is 1,000. So, ultimately, if you can get a couple of thousands in there, it gives you some room for error. Maybe if you go below the 930, a year here, a year there, and kind of what happens, in some programs, you may have kids leaving early to go to the next level. Well, that can hurt you academically. Fortunately, schools like Kentucky, it hasn't, but you just got to foresee them things coming and hope them guys take care of business while they're there. But 930 is the threshold, and when you go below that, that's when you're possibly, going to miss postseason play.
Coach, now that that makes sense. Now I see why y'all got some of them guys be at the end of the bench you never played. Them gonna feel the academic dudes down there.
That's the 1,000.
Oh, I'm learning something today.
Hey, that's the trick of the trade. So again, you can have 13. I'm probably going a little far, but I'm gonna give it to you real. Since y'all put me on here, I'm gonna give you the uncut version on here. I'm gonna give it to you uncut. So again, at Oregon, a lot of times we'll only have 10 or 11 guys on scholarship because again, let's keep it real. It's hard to keep 13 guys happy without a couple guys redshirting, a couple guys transferring or sitting out. Right. You can't keep 13 eligible players happy. You're going to have a transfer or two. Right. But if you only got 10 or 11 and you got 12 and 13, and if that walk-on comes to walk on, your chances of being that walk-on grow much better if you had a 4.0 coming in through high school, if you're a great academic student, because again, that goes into play on the APR. Wow. So you done figured it out, but that's a big part of it.
Coach, it's good to be smart. Coach, I've been saying that ever since I've been on this show, kids. Hey, Jimmy, what you say? The smart, guess what? You eliminate the excuses.
Exactly.
If you're smart, and you create more options for yourself. So
yeah.
Thank you, Coach.
If you want to walk on and you got a 2.2 and this young man's probably got a 4.0 and you're the same level, that young man with the 4.0 chances of making that team is going to be much more to his advantage. And again, that does help on the APR. And again, a lot of schools, they don't use all 13 scholarships no more. Right. So you leave yourself a little wiggle room there.
Wow.
Now, Coach, another question somebody's asking, and this is really, some questions, this is really relatively easy for you to answer. And I'm going to read it slowly. That way you can see what it's saying. Coach, are you guys allowed to utilize volunteers to help student athletes?
It's a good question.
It goes to a certain protocol. One thing at Oregon, and I only can speak at Oregon, they try to keep the academic support staff and the coaches, we let them do their job and they let us do our job. So there's a certain protocol to work with the academic support staff that you have to go through to work with them. So I can't tell you exactly how they pick their volunteers or how they go about it, but that's what our academic counselor that's in charge of men's basketball, he's the one that sets that up, coordinates all the tutors and so forth, the learning specialists that our guys work with. And again, you got that's a very slippery slope because again, you're the support staff. You're not there. You're there to help the young men along the way. But if you go too far, then there could be a violation there. So everything kind of coincides to make sure that they're following the rules of what they're able to do as tutors and not going overboard where somebody that don't know, that might not be as educated in that, may think they're really helping, but they might be putting us in a situation where they're doing too much.
And Coach, I just saw something popped up on the screen. Theo Huxtable, that's not his real name, but that's his screen name. He said, "How is Francis Okoro doing? What are your expectations for him from his last year?"
Well, I wish we had some expectations, but about 3 weeks ago, he put his name in the transfer portal.
Wow.
This thing moved fast, Coach.
Hey, but Francis is a great young man. Uh-huh. He was at Oregon 2 years. We really enjoyed working with him. Obviously, we didn't want to see him leave, but he felt, maybe there was a better opportunity for him elsewhere, and that's what he decided to do. So that's one of them situations where, we got to kind of move on, but It's no hard feelings. We only want the best for Francis, and he'll go somewhere, and he'll have a great career.
Coach, you just said something, and I want parents and kids to understand, because a lot of people watch this show. Y'all heard it. Y'all done heard it from Chris Walker, former coach. Now you're hearing it from Tony Stubblefield. Let me tell y'all something. Ain't that many? It's not enough minutes for all of everybody. Ain't gonna be happy. Hey, coach, I tell the story about Chris. Chris said he got in his office behind his desk, he got a big number 8 written on the board. And when the
Yes,
guys come
sir.
in there, he just tell the little dude, hey, man, 8 of y'all gonna play, man.
Yeah.
Are you gonna be one of them 8? He said, don't come in here playing around. You better get and be one of them 8. And see, that's what we don't understand, man. And sometimes you got to wait your turn. So now, coach, y'all making it well, I ain't got to wait my turn. I can get in that transfer portal. And guess what? Coach, I'm going to ask you this question. What happened to the guys that didn't get retained from the transfer portal? It was some guys that got left out last year that didn't get picked up. Where are those guys now?
Well, it would be. This is what I will tell you: before you go off and get the transfer portal, you probably want to make sure you want it, and then there's an opportunity for you. But you said it best. There's only so many minutes. Only so many guys are going to play, and that's a big reason why we've cut down, really never fulfilling all our scholarships at the 13 limit total. Because again, and I hate to say it, but in this day and age, these young men want instant gratification.
Yes.
And again, nobody wants to be patient. Really, nobody really wants the red shirt. Nobody wants to be when you're a junior or senior, you're playing big minutes. They want to all do it as a freshman. And unfortunately, that's just not the way it goes. I mean, you got to be very, very talented to play on the top BCS team as a top 20, 25 team to come in and make that type of impact. And again, there's only so many minutes for so many guys to play. So I think as coaches, you got to be aware of that too, because again, you just can't have guys transferring out 3 and 4 guys year in and year out, because again, it's going to hurt your APR at some time. And so you got to be selective on what you're taking, guys' expectations coming in, whether it's 1 and done, 2 and done. And I think that's a big part of the recruiting process and getting to know these young men and their families are, what is your expectations? And just be out, how long do you plan on being here? And again, nobody knows the definitive answer, but you got to try to put as much work as you can in the recruiting process to figure those type of things out.
I mean, Coach Stubblefield, you dropping nuggets. I'm giving people a chance to catch up with their notes. If somebody broke the lead in their pencil, that way now you get a chance to change them up. Do like me, keep 2 of them side by side so you can keep your notes going. Now, Coach, we want to ask you. You're over in Oregon on the West Coast, and we know the NCAA is now they're wrestling with several ideas about how they're going to resume with the football season. Now, as your institution, football comes first. What's the plans for I understand you only can speak so much, but you know what's going on in your yard or in your neighborhood. What's the plan for Oregon football this fall?
They haven't specifically came up with the plan yet. The governor has opened it up a little bit. And everything is kind of in the governor's hands. And then obviously, the university has got to make their decision. But, the governor's making the call. So they have opened it up. But as far as the university standpoint, nothing's really happening. We hear around about the date of possibly sometime in June. So we don't know if that's the later part of June, if that's around June 15th. So again, we do think it's going to happen at some point in time if the cases continue to flatline or decrease. But I don't anticipate it happening no sooner than the middle of June, somewhere in there. And again, when it does happen, things are definitely going to be different. It's not going to be the way it was, 4 months ago, where they're going to have to take this thing slow and in phases and kind of go from there. But it's the same with our guys now. Everybody's in the same situation. Everybody's just kind of trying to wait this out. And again, you don't want to rush this thing and then have to go back to quarantine. And you kind of want to, but again, who knows when is the right day? But to answer your question, I would think around the middle of June, the 1st of July, I would think they would slowly but surely start getting guys back on campus.
Adam?
No, I had one, Coach. They just sent it to me. It was talking about, man, it's just so much stuff going on, man, Coach. They said, why do you guys, okay, why do you coaches look to the transfer portal rather than high school players?
Well, to be very honest with you, I think everybody's situation is different. Everybody's program is different. Um, Again, I'm keeping it real with you guys. Once you take a transfer, the kid probably won't leave again. So he's left once, so now he's probably gonna stick it out. First time he left, he might have been too anxious. He might have not have been patient. But now, if you get him on the second go round, he's probably gonna stick it out with you. With that being said, I think if you watch college basketball, the teams that have had the best success in March in the NCAA tournament are teams that are older. Well, to get older, if you got a top high school guy, he's probably only going to be there a year or two. Where if you get a transfer, you're probably going to have him at least to his junior year, possibly his senior year. You're talking about a guy that's 22, 23 years old, as opposed to a guy that's 18 and 19 years old. A guy that's a little bit more physically developed, that's kind of been through the wars, that you can kind of fight with. So again, everybody's program is different. Again, I don't think there's one model that fits all. I mean, we want the top high school players we can get, and if we can mix in the top transfer, which we've had great success with transfers, grad transfers at Oregon, we're definitely going to do that because, again, I think you'll see the teams that are better in March, the teams that are having great success are usually older teams, with the exception of a couple programs that can get it done and, know how to work their way, like a Kentucky, which has great success with young guys. And, that's their way, Duke. But, our success at Oregon has been trying to get older.
Now, Coach, I want to ask you, you mentioned that we're talking about the portal again. How would the portal, of course, the NCAA is expected to allow the transfers to no longer sit out, probably starting next season in 2021, right? Yes. How would that affect, what's your projection on the class of 2021, which has already been slighted from a lack of an April and a July live recruiting period? How do you think, remember you said you're keeping it real with us.
Yeah.
Keep it real. What's probably going to happen to a lot of those 2021s who are not amongst the top 100 in the country?
Well, there's going to be some young men that miss some opportunities. There's going to be some misevaluations. There's going to be some guys that just, get left behind. And again, it's going to cause some more transfers along the way because you're just not. There's only so much you can do on Zoom calls. Without being able to go make face-to-face contact, sitting in a home with the parents, with the AAU coach, with the high school coach, whoever, and building those relationships. But again, that's where you guys come into play. So I know a young man in Houston, if I got to get some questions about his character, about who he is as a person, I can pick up the phone and call two of my great friends down in Houston. That's where it's important to have these relationships where you can find out as much as you can about these young men without physically being able to meet with them or going down to visit with them. But there is going to be some misevaluations. There's going to be a lot of transfers. And unfortunately, with the spring being cut out, with the summer being in limbo, it's just unfortunate right now.
And so now, once again, taking that a little farther, a year from now, are you looking in the portal? If, let's say, the NCAA does make the rule for 2021, players to transfer without sitting out, are you looking more so at that portal, which normally doesn't open up until February to March? Mm-hmm. Or are you looking in the spring at that unsigned senior?
To be honest, we're going to do a combination of both. And I think it's all predicated on what you're losing and who you have in place at your university, on your team, the expectations that they have, the role that they can play. So again, I think you got to look at both. And I think that's what most universities will do, is take a look at both and see kind of what their needs are, the experience they have returning at that position, and, how good the player is in the portal. And again, in the portal, it could just be there wasn't enough minutes for that young man there, or it just wasn't a good experience, or it wasn't a good fit. The playing style, the style of player didn't work. But again, if you can get a high school player that's going to be there 3 or 4 years, of course you would like to build your team around that. But I just don't know in this day and age if that's the way it's going. as far as guys being patient enough, waiting their turn for them to be there 3 or 4 years, as opposed to somebody pulling on them saying, hey, man, they ain't playing you enough. You ain't getting enough shots. You know, this ain't working out for you. This might be a better opportunity over here. And again, it depends on the young man's background and the people, his support system, whether they'll go for that or say, hey, we're going to fight through this and you're going to stay there and get through it. So there's a lot of factors that play into it, in my opinion.
And now, Coach, I love it how you're keeping it real with us on the Chop Shop. I love it, Coach. I love it. Tony Stubblefield is keeping it real and putting it where the goats can get it today, guys. Now, I want to ask you, Coach, here's another question that somebody just sent to me, and this is a text message. Some people watching the show don't really want y'all to know who they are because everybody don't have aliases on their thing. So this guy's text was a good question. Without getting into detail, without any details, have you ever extended a fake offer to a prospect? If so, when was the first time that you did it?
No, I don't believe in doing that to a young man and giving him a fake offer. To be honest with you, I'd rather slow play it and say, hey, we need to know more about you, your situation. We need to watch you play more. I think that's a good question, especially during times like this. I think there's a lot of fake offers going on. And I'm not going to necessarily say fake offers, but offers where you haven't even seen them play in person. You basing it off maybe a highlight tape or a video where you don't even know how good a fit it is for your style of play, for your program. You're not there to watch the body language, just the interaction amongst other teammates. But to answer your question, no, I've never put out a fake offer. If anything, we probably slow played it to a point where it might have hurt us in some situations that we didn't offer soon enough, because we got maybe some schools, 10 or 15 schools that offer before we had the chance to really jump in there and really, know that prospect.
And I'm glad you answered that. Great answer, Coach. Jimmy, could you clarify? Because you said fake offer. Jimmy, some people might not know what you meant by it. Could you explain what you meant? Because Coach answered it very, very eloquently. But could you explain what you meant by it to the people who don't know?
Yeah, fake offer basically is interpreted as an offer that's non-committable, meaning that a coach will extend an offer to a prospect that if that prospect was to attempt to commit, they would not take the commitment. And so it's just done.
What are some of the reasons that somebody would even say that or do that? Give the people some reasons. Or AAU coach trying to get the guys' recruitment up. If Tony Stubblefield offer him, everybody else going to be wanting him. Give me some.
That's the guy right next to me right there. That's just in position. So as he said, remember, he has never done it before. Right. He just stated, and he also stated that he knows there's coaches out there that does.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
And the question that you're asking now, what are some of the reasons why people, and that doesn't mean that people has not solicited Coach Stubblefield to attempt to give a fake offer. Right. If they ask the next guy, they certainly asked him. It's up to him to be non-compliable on that. What are some of the reasons that people are trying to do this for, this wave of non-committable offers?
Well, Heather, you hit it dead on the head. And again, it might be a high school coach, it might be an AAU coach. Hey, you need to offer this young man right now, or you need to offer him before everybody else gets on him. And again, it's not fair to that young man. I haven't did my due diligence enough that if you did say you want to come, we wouldn't honor it anyway. So again, that's one reason we don't get into it. But to answer your question, I think it's a lot to build credibility amongst the program, whether it's a high school program, an AAU program. It could be credibility to get this young man to play on your AAU team, to say, hey, I can get Coach Stubblefield on the phone right now. So they pick up the phone. We're like, and we possibly do have a relationship, but it's not to that point where I'm ready to offer this young man so that you can say, look what I can do. I can get you these scholarship offers, and then that influence him to play on your AAU program or whatever it may be, or go to your high school. So that's the reason I think there's a lot of fake offers out there. I control the rankings, so if I can get you on this offer, we can move you up in the rankings because you got this many high major offers or whatever it may be. But I just don't think it's right to do that to a young man because, again, if he said, hey, I want to come right now, you wouldn't accept that. And again, you only can do that so much before you get known as a school as putting a lot of fake offers out there. And that's what you don't want to happen, in my opinion. And again, some people may work like that. They may think that's best, but that's just not the way we operate.
Absolutely. We're shooting over the basketball over to our YouTube. Mo City asked the question, do you think that Bobo should have stayed an extra year in college?
Absolutely not. Yeah, I think Bobo was very talented. He was averaging 21 and 10 before he went down with an injury. The young man is ready. He just, unfortunately, his year got cut short because of the injury, but he was ready. And if he could have went without coming to college, he should have did that. But no, Bo is a great kid, and he's going to have a great future in the NBA. And again, sometimes guys can outgrow college. It's time for him to move on, and that's where he was at.
So now, Coach, I got another question. They said, how do you feel about college players getting paid?
Ooh.
Coach, you can move on. Coach Jimmy won't let you move on. I will allow you to move on and say next question.
Coach, hey, Stubbs, you can't stay 48 to Papados, then try to go over to Timmy Chan. You can't do that.
Right. You're right about that. I got to
Coach, you got a lot of supporters on this, and they keep saying next question. But they don't realize this show is not like your normal show. This the Chop Shop. This ain't First Take. This ain't Undisputed. This is the Chop Shop. We chop it up like we're in a barber shop. So if you're not used to watching this show, we answer and tackle the tough things that a lot of people might feel uncomfortable with. So just to help.
Let's go.
Now, Coach, what you got, Coach?
I do think there should be some opportunity for these young men to make, young men, young women to make some money off their name and likeliness. Again, they're making a lot of money for these universities. There's a lot of jerseys being sold in them good gift shops, bookstores. There's just a lot happening. And, some of these kids come from family situations where, it's needed. And again, there's a lot of money being made. And again, yes, they're very blessed and thankful for the scholarship, room and board, books, and tuition. But I think there should be a little compensation, whatever they can come up with, agree with. I don't have the answer of how to do it, but I think it's only fair to them. And I think, that's why some of the young men are looking at the other situation in the G League now. And that's why, college basketball is getting a little exposed. But, I think college basketball will be fine. I know it will be fine because there's enough good players where, it's going to be all right. But, yeah, I do. To answer your question, I do think there should be something. I just don't know exactly what the number is. I don't know how you monitor it and so forth.
We got another question. I'll put it in and double them up for you. Number one, does the high school kids, which costs more, a transfer or the high school kid? And number two is, due to the COVID-19 and the budget cuts, a lot of colleges out there are even cutting entire programs. I've seen at the Division I level. Will the number of scholarships decrease as a result of these budget cuts?
Well, they haven't said anything like that to us at Oregon. So, hopefully that isn't the case. What costs more between the transfer and a high school player? It's about the same because the scholarship is the scholarship. There is no half scholarship. If you come to Oregon, you on a full scholarship, room and board, books, tuition, everything that comes with it. So, that's the same either way, whether it's a high school player or a transfer. So that's not a problem at all.
Hey man, hey coach, hey man, you stepped in the balance box.
I see my man Dame on there.
Hey coach, man, you did a great job, man. That was a great convo, great intel. You enlightened, you informed, you even did a little entertaining up there. And hey man, we definitely appreciate everything that you're doing, and congratulations on on the much success that you've sustained at the University of Oregon. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. My man, anything I can do, y'all let me know.
Coach, all you got to do right now, hit that red button hit that red button on your screen, and
I
it
got
will
you.
release you so we can bring in a new guest. Thank you,
Yeah,
Coach.
man.
All
All right,
right.
boss.
Okay.
Yes, all right, Dane. Okay.
Yeah, man. I mean, great combo, guys. And as we promised,
Awesome, man.
guys,
Awesome.
we promised to give you guys, a conversation and a lot of the intel on the APR, which he did.
He was, oh my goodness, very thorough, very versed in this in that thing, man. And this it's unbelievable. I'm glad. I hope people were taking notes. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go back and look at the show again on YouTube and watch it over and over again. But guess what, Jimmy? We got somebody else.
Come on, take your snap at it. Take your snap. Introduce the
No,
next
man,
one.
Jimmy, I'm too close to this guy for me to introduce him. This just like me introducing Penny, so I got to give it to you. I've been knowing him. Oh my God, I'm not gonna tell you how long, but and Jimmy, I'm gonna let you, Coach Jimmy. You're so much better at it than I am. Put your thing on it, man. Put your thing on it.
Man, all I can tell you about this guy, he helped us. He has helped today. We have thrust the Chop Shop into record territory, meaning that this week, even though this week is only Wednesday, but this is the first time that on separate days that we've had first round lottery draft picks on the Chop Shop on separate days. We had Penny Hardaway yesterday. And of course, today he was picked number 7 in the NBA draft, I think in 1995, 96, somewhere around there, and by Toronto, and this is before Drake, this is before Drake. Now, if Drake was living in, he wouldn't have probably left it, But anyway, and then played around the NBA. I'm talking about a rookie of the year that year. Yeah. He went on to take his talents after retiring, took his talents to the college coaching ranks after getting a little bored, say, you know what, I still got that itch, and I'm gonna go into college coaching. He went and got over the staff under Josh Pastner at University of Memphis.
Wait a minute, say that university one more time. What university?
University of FedEx.
Oh man, come on, man, quit hating.
The one who fired them 2 guys yesterday after they shot. With the video that's gone viral. Don't get me started with them jokers. But anyway, and now he's landed a head coaching position a couple of years ago on the West Coast.
Hold up, Jimmy. Before now, he coached with the Grizzlies too. Now.
I forgot about the Grizzlies.
I got him. I got you. I got you, baby. Keep going.
Yeah, the Grizzlies were right before Memphis with Josh Pastner.
Lionel Hollins was his head coach. Yeah. Okay.
And then did a little stint over there in Arizona, his own stomping ground as well. And of course now he's able to put his heels on the desk. Remember that guy. As a college coach, next time if you're a prospect, ask that recruiter, are you able to put your heels on your shoes on the desk? And that lets you know he's a guy, and this man right here is, he's very well received and perceived around the country by a lot of the college coaches and grassroots influencers alike. And this is Damon Stoudemire, guys, we introduced to you on the Chop Shop. What's going on?
What's up, Biggie?
What's going on, fellas? What's going on?
I had to give it. You know what's so amazing, Jimmy? When you mentioned, I forgot I was at his draft. I was at his draft too. I guess I went back to back. I was at back-to-back drafts, and it's just so unique, man, to have you. You've been on the show when we're in the studio, but it's so unique to have you on the show and having you with your hat backwards like mine and unshaven and no haircut just like me. I feel so great about that. But man, Jimmy, where do you want to start with Damon? Because we got so much that we can talk to him about. Where you want to start?
Well, first we definitely start. You are in the state of California, and recently the governor stated that the 23 Division I schools in California will not likely to be having in-person classes. Right. Now, tell us about that, and how is that to be interpreted, and what does that mean for scholastic sports as a result, as opposed to in-state as well as out of state, your projected opponents?
Okay, it's guys, it's crazy because and I'm not, I'm not a decision maker from that standpoint, but I was surprised that they made that call so early.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what we're dealing with this pandemic, but the first thing I thought of when they said that, I was like, I'm thinking about the competitive edge, right? I'm like, ooh, that means there's gonna be some transfers.
Right.
I'm saying, like, and I'm not just thinking about basketball itself. I'm thinking about that's ramifications for football and a lot of different things. But as I sit back on it, I don't think that it's clear what's going to happen. But to kind of get a people understanding, and you think about this, because me over here at Pacific, we're a private school. Okay, so we have 6,000 students. Okay. Now you take a state school, and we'll just go up the street. I don't know how many students Sacramento State has, but I think they probably got somewhere between 18 and 25,000. So to give you an indication of what that means, and today we're prepared to go back to school in classes in August, but our class size anyway, because of the size of our school, which is only about 6,000 roughly, our class size is only 10 to 15 people. So you're talking about social distancing, and that's the things that they're figuring out right now, as opposed to when I went to, for instance, Arizona State School. Man, when I went there, my first day of class, first of all, y'all know the drill, Psychology 101, man, I was the last 4 digits of my social security number, and there were 300 people in the class. So you got 300 people in the class. That's what those state schools, that's what the governor's worried about. You know what I mean? It's just, it's such a difference. Our campus with 6,000 people, our campus looks empty anyway. But you think about this, at a state university, if you see somebody the first day of school, you might not see them again until the spring, maybe even the next year. And I think that's the biggest thing that those state schools got to fight through. And I think that the governor was making that call on the basis of that. And when I think about it in other ways, you see like the Pac-12 came immediately out and said, we still haven't made any decisions, but that's where it becomes hard. And I'm just, I think that's where we all struggling, not only from a college standpoint, but from just a national standpoint with the pandemic period, because it's hard on everybody, because the reason we're in this is because the leadership not right. So you don't know what's what. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
I mean that's it's kind of spooky, because as you mentioned, the larger schools.
Yeah.
And I've heard different people saying, well, will they be allowed to even go and play out of state schools? I mean, if they did, what happens if they come back? Do they have to sequester themselves?
Yeah.
And that's the part that's tricky, because over here in Texas, we read the stories, you see them from afar, but then it's like, how, put it like this, in football, high school that is.
Yeah.
There's one of the top football teams historically in the state of California, De La Salle.
Yeah.
Is scheduled to travel to Houston and open their season against North Shore.
Mm-hmm.
North Shore won state back-to-back years. They're the top team in the state right now, easily. Game's supposed to be on ESPN. Mm-hmm. Last week, they made a statement from North Shore saying that game is still on, which I'm not mad at, no. But I'm thinking like, well, if California governor made a statement about the colleges, wouldn't it affect some of the high schools as well, or no?
Yeah, and I think that's where we all confused, because I'm confused. I tell people this all the time. I just got off a call with some of my parents, and they asking me questions, and I'm like, man, I can't even answer those questions. I'm trying to give you guys the generic answers. What I do know right now today is that summer school is online. We're not having any students back probably until school starts in August, and we're trying to figure out how to social distance. Truthfully, from a living situation, from a classroom situation, from a lifting weights situation. And this is the craziest thing we've ever been a part of. You know what I mean? I think everybody, like, you don't know. And that's what I was telling, just telling our parents. I was like, shoot, it used to be, you get 2-3 cats living in the same spot. But man, everybody, and today everybody living different. You don't know what.
Wow.
And see, you don't even think about those little things. You know what I'm saying?
I did not, Coach.
You don't even think about that. And so that's where it's so tricky, man. And I think that all of this is, from my perspective and the way I look at it, the only thing that I've been trying to do is when I talking to adults and my team and just kids alike, man, just keep your mind right. Right now, just find something. Just stay mentally prepared for whatever's going to happen. You got to, the mental approach of what's going on right now is so important with not only athletes, but just everybody in general, because nobody has been through this thing before. I was sitting back the other night and I said, man, this is the first time in my life been stationary like this since I was like 16, 17 years old. Because as far back as I can remember, I've been traveling for basketball. I've been fortunate enough playing on USA basketball teams, doing all this stuff, man. We was always moving. Then you go to college, go to NBA. Then I went right into coaching. Man, I've been moving my whole life. At first I needed, this first 60 days I actually needed, because I just needed to rest. But man, now, I think that it seems like we're getting to a point where we got to start figuring something out. Everybody has to start figuring something out. And I think we all need to be educated a little bit more, because you hear all the dialogue and the jargon. See, because, it's crazy, guys. I tell you this. This year, early on, so this was probably early December. Mm-hmm. I promise y'all, I told my team, because we had like 5 guys sick. I said, man, I don't like what's going on here, man. We got to start giving dudes the elbow. So from the beginning of December on, this is how we was in the huddle. We was giving the elbow, because I was like, man, this is weird. I was like, I've never seen so many dudes sick. So if you go back, if you even seen some of our games, you'll see a lot of dudes giving everybody the elbow, giving everybody elbows and different things. It was crazy, because I had a dude on my team that was dead on his feet. He couldn't get out of bed for 2 days. Then he came back to practice. You could tell he was weak. Then he tried to play. You could tell he was weak. And he went to the bench and he told my assistant coach, man, I just feel like I can't breathe. And I'm like, then all this stuff came out. I'm like, man, it was all symptoms. Now he young, he running, right. He viral. It might not have been a 3-4 week thing, a month thing, like how, somebody older might have been. But I was just like, man, it was crazy. And we had a lot of guys, it was sickly and it was weird from that standpoint. But we just don't know enough about what's going on, man, to even educate anybody. Somebody asked a good question, when I was on with one of our WCC meetings, somebody asked a good question. So what if they cancel the season? What does that mean? Do the seniors get their year back? And what happens? And I know everybody was put off guard, but the difference is that those were non-revenue sports for the most part that they had to make those decisions on last year. If you have to do that in the fall, you talking about football, you talking about basketball. Well, hey, I think any coach in America would rather have the players on their team right now today than have to go get these new dudes in certain respects. But in certain schools, is a scholarship a scholarship? Do you got 13 scholarships if the season was canceled, right? but you signed 4 guys. Now you got 17. So do you got to make some decisions? Is it a waiver wire? How do all this work? Like, it's just, I don't know, man. It's just, we can go on and on the hypothetical, but it's just crazy because none of us really know.
I mean, indeed, man. I mean, it's really, really a crazy situation, and hope everything ends up sorting itself out over the next couple of months. We have more questions for you.
I got one for him, Jimmy, from Theo Huskable. He said, we're going to switch it. We're going to switch it around a little bit, Dan. He said, why can't these modern small guards produce like you did?
Who said that?
Somebody, Theo Huskable. He's just a guy on our Facebook feed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not the real Theo. This is his stage name.
The real Theo wasn't named Theo Huskable.
Thank you. Okay, so he said, why can't these modern small guards produce like you did? They get to college and can barely get a shot off. Why?
First of all, I'll say this. When I came up, small guards were taboo. I can name on one hand all the small guards. And when I say small guards, I'm talking about, we can even call it 6'1" and under if you want to, 6'1" and under instead of 6 feet and under. And you had Tiny Archibald, you had Muggsy Bogues, you had Spud Webb. Mm-hmm. You could even throw, even though he's about 6'1", you could even throw our boy Luke up in there. You could throw Luke, Calvin Murphy. But I'm just saying, I just think about what I just said. It wasn't a lot, so it was like taboo. So you had to be extra special because it just wasn't a lot of us. Mm-hmm. And I really gave my blood, sweat, and tears to the game, man. And it wasn't easy because it was always somebody telling me what I couldn't do at that time. And my whole thing was always trying to prove people wrong. And, I stayed in the gym. I stayed in my craft, but the thing that I realized early on is that, as a little guard, you got to be able to shoot that thing, man. And, if you're not able to shoot that thing, then it's going to always be issues. It's always going to be problems. A lot of people didn't play fast back then. You got to, and to go along with everything that I'm saying, you got to be mentally tough. You think about it, and back when I played, there were so many people telling me I couldn't instead of saying that I could. And today, most people tell these guys that they can, and they never say that they can't. And so that helped guide me. And I think that's one of the big issues. That's one of the big issues now. But I do believe this. I do believe that if these guys, it's investing in your game. Like we all talk about investing in your game, right? Everybody. I believe this with today's small guards. I believe this with today's bigs. It don't matter. I believe that if you work out with your grandmother and you listen to your grandmother and your grandma can make you a better player because she inspired you, then that's who you work out with. I think a lot of times dudes don't work out with the right people. It's not the trainer itself. It's like you got to work out with guys that inspires you and brings the best out of you. That's what I see the difference is, today. And I think that carries over to that question. It's not necessarily answering the question all the way, but it carries over to that question. Okay, because I worked out with a guard that looked like me, and the first thing he told me was, "Oh man, you can't. You're getting too deep. You're getting too deep. The closer you get to the basket, you can't see, and that's facts. Like I wasn't dunking on nobody. I wasn't doing none of that. I had my mid-range game and different things. But you gotta know what you gotta really know what you're trying to do, man. Is all I can say because I can. I look at myself and I was a scoring point guard at a small size, but I know that there were a lot of playmaking small point guards that came up right after me also. So I'm just saying it's just, man, you gotta work on your craft. But the biggest thing I take from that man, if you can't shoot and you under 6'1", 6 feet, in today's basketball, you don't have a chance unless you're picking up 94 feet.
I got some I want to add to that, Damon, because I see a lot of this, and I hear Jimmy talking about it, and I always bring this up, this example you told me. I never forget it. When you were going to school to Arizona, they had Khalif Reeves committed first, I think, right?
Yeah.
And he was a top point guard, and you was a top point guard. Most guys these days, oh man, it's another point guard. I ain't going there. He got him. I ain't going there. Like U of H guy. It ain't gonna be enough guards there. I mean, it's too many guards there. It's too many. And you said, dude, well, it's just gonna be 2 point guards playing because I'm playing. That's the kind of I never forget you told me that. But a lot of guys don't have that now because these guys they're handlers and you handle yourself. They got the handlers, the Jimmy call them the influencers. Then they got the Jimmy Hickses of the world and the man, it's too crowded at that spot. It's too crowded. And you said he All-American. They gonna guess what? They gonna invent another position because I'm starting to. It's gonna be double point guard. Tell people that mindset, man.
Yeah, it was crazy because coming out of high school, I took 4 or 5 visits. I can't remember 4 or 5. I took 5 visits. USC, Arizona, Louisville, and I went to the Oregon schools, Oregon and Oregon State. So I'm laughing. I'm just laughing because Stubbs is just on the line, and you know, if anybody from Oregon, if they listening to it, because I know Stubbs got his following, so I know some people might be listening from Oregon. So this is funny, right? So it's a dude, one of my trainers back at the house. His name was Fluffy. So he was at the crib with. Yeah, nickname. Okay. Look at Jimmy back here. and so look. First of all, Jimmy, I'm gonna throw this at you, and this is totally off the cuff, but you know who his boy is, because he went to U of H, Richard Hollis. I know you remember Richard Hollis.
Yeah.
Okay. So look, so Don Munson was the coach, man, and Don Munson comes into the home. And he sits down, and there's me, my mother, my father, and my two trainers. And so Don Munson, that's when they had Terrell Brandon. TB was like my idol. You know, we grew up together. You know, he was 3 years older than me though. And so TB says, I'm not TB, but Don Munson says, well, Damon can come in and he can play behind Terrell Brandon. And the first thing Fluffy said, and it just, you know, it's just who he is. He said, "Oh hell no." He said, so you're gonna have the best player on the team, who probably is the best player probably, or at least top 3 in the conference, in Terrell. And then the second best player is Damon, but he got to play behind Terrell because he's the second best player. I mean, because he played the same position as Terrell. And he said, he ain't going there. My mother was like, Floppy, no, Liz. My mother's name is Liz. No, Liz, he can't go there. Like, he was like, and so then I asked Coach Munson, I said, so we can't play together? Like, you serious? Like, I would be the second best player. Like, that don't make no sense, like, at that time. But just think about it, though, guys. That's how structured basketball was back then. This was 1990. So when I get to Arizona, I fast forward. I just wanted to tell that story because that's funny. Wait a minute. Then I'll tell you this, because I like to always say this, and I said this on your show before, I think, when I came on live. Mm-hmm. Then when I took my visit to Louisville, I try to give all these examples, and I can't, you know, as a head coach, you got to be careful. So I'm just giving the example, and then y'all can elaborate because y'all know where I'm going with this. So Denny Crum, because everybody knows those Denny Crum teams, high jumping teams, man, really good guards. Dr. Duncan Stein, this all those good things. So Denny Crum, and I really wanted to go to Louisville. I said, Coach, I just got one question for you, Coach. I said, this scares me, Coach. I said, this really scares me. And Scooter McCray was recruiting me, who was a really good dude. He was a good dude. I said, and I told him this. I said, I say this to Scooter all the time, and this really scares me, Coach. I said, you're sitting up here telling me all this stuff. And remember, I don't have nobody telling me about my recruitment because it was different back then, right? It was way different. It was different. So I say, Coach, I'm terrified to go across country. And I'm not terrified to go across country and play and compete. I said, but this is where I got an issue. I said, Coach, you know, I've done my research on you because Louisville has always been one of the top teams. So I've been watching y'all since you came on in 1980 in the Final Four. I said, Coach, you never coached a guard under 6 feet. So how am I going to play for you, Coach? You run the UCLA offense. That's not Damon Stoudemire. How do I play, Coach? You're going to bring me all the way across the country to set the ball up every time? I was like, I don't think I can do that, Coach. And you know, all Coach Crum can say, Damon, that was a hell of a question. Anyway, I get to Arizona. And so, you know, Coach Olson came in. When he came in the house, he never told me that I was gonna be his guy or anything. You know what he said? Truth is facts. He said, Damon, we went to the Sweet 16 last year without you. I got the whole team coming back. I got a McDonald's All-American coming in. I think you can help us play. I think you can help us win some games. I think you can come in. You can compete for minutes, but it's going to be hard. Something didn't sit right with me on that one, you know, because everybody else was telling me, I guess, what they thought I wanted to hear, and it didn't sit right. But you know, when I get down there to Arizona, man, the first thing I do is I tell myself, I'm like, I averaged 26 points a game in high school. I said, man, this dude don't need my points. I'm looking around here. I'm like, man, they got Chris Mills over here. They got, you know, they got Sean Rooks over here. There go Brian Williams in the pickup game. I said, oh God. I said, they definitely don't need my little points. So I said, so I gotta figure this out if I'm gonna get on the court. So that was my whole thing, and trying and getting on the floor. And the first, it took me one day of pickup games to figure out how I was gonna get on the court. And that was to pick my man up full court and change the tempo, because Coach, that's how he's gonna have to put me on the floor. Because at that time, he had just coached Muggsy Bogues in the World Games. And so he had coached Kenny Lofton too. And so what he had told me is he never seen a combination of speed, but a guy that can score the ball too, you know, pass on defense. And so that's how I got in the game. That's what I did to get on the floor. You know, Khalid was bigger and stronger than me. Okay, but the one he didn't have that I had, he didn't have that burning desire. I brought that to him. I made him better. I made him better every day because he knew I was coming. You know what I mean? And I made him better every day. But I also made our to the party. And so as things went on, I knew exactly what Coach was talking about when he had me there. But man, that mentality, you got to have that mentality. And then I'll say this, because during that year, this is what people don't understand. See, Coach Olson, he recruited the best. So he was recruiting Jason Kidd too. So Jason Kidd was a senior in high school. So I was a freshman, Khalid was a sophomore, and then he recruiting Jason Kidd as a high school senior. And so, you know, now you got everybody saying, man, he recruiting arguably at that time the top player in the country. I was like, well, I guess it's gonna be 3-point guard starting. And I said, man, that'll be a hell of a 3-guard combination. And that's just was my mentality, guys. I mean, that's what I wanted to do. That's how I played. I ended up getting drafted in the lottery. Khalid ended up getting drafted in the lottery. We made each other better in practice every day, and there wasn't no egos about it. We played against each other every day. You couldn't put us on the same team because if we was on the same team in practice, we was obviously going to win the run, you know, and so coach pit us up against each other every day to get us better, you know, and that was my mentality. You know, I wasn't scared of competition. You know, I've never been scared of competition. Nothing's been given to me my whole life. So that's what I always strived on, you know. And the thing about it is I tell people this all the time. Everybody's book is written different. You don't compare your story to somebody else's story. You leave that to people that's what they do for a living, and you got no control over that anyway. I went to school for 4 years. Everybody be like, man, you didn't leave early. I said, listen, man. I left school when I was 21. When I turned 22 when I got to the NBA. I said, man, I left the NBA at 35. I said, I've heard kids tell me, parents give me reasons of why, and I know y'all probably heard this too, reasons why their son is leaving to go, because hey, we got to get there early, so they say we can get to the second contract. Huh? You're not gonna get to a second contract if you're not good enough. So it don't matter when you leave. You know what I'm saying? Like and I think we dropped the ball with some of that. And I guarantee you, like, I seen some of the interview yesterday y'all had with Penny, and anybody on here that's a pro guy would probably say the same thing what I'm about to say. Probably the biggest disappointment that I have when I talk to PSAs and their parents sometimes, prospective student athletes and their parents sometimes, is that they look at me as an adversary and just instead of taking the information. Because I'm not telling you nothing to be trying to gain your son. I'm just telling you how it is. Period. Mm-hmm. Whether you come with me or you don't come with me, I've been there before. I still look at myself, even though I've been coaching now for a long time, I still look at myself as a player. When I evaluate myself as a coach, I think of myself as a player. When I'm in the game and I think of situations and scenarios, I don't say what I'll do as a coach. I say what I'll do as a player. If I'm watching the game and I'm making an adjustment, I say, what am I going to do? What am I going to do as a player? What would I do guarding that all-league guard right there? What would I do guarding him? How would I guard him? Not what I'm thinking as a coach. You know, I look at the game totally from that perspective. The only time I start to look at the game from a coaching perspective is in the second half, special situations, time starts shrinking. You got 2 minutes in the game left. If it's a 2-possession game, now you start thinking how many possessions is left in the game. You know, if you're down, who's the worst foul shooters on the other team? Am I going to go offense, defense? Now, that's when I start thinking like a coach. Other than that, the whole game, I'm thinking like a player. You know what I mean? I still have my player instincts, and you know, those are the things that carry me as I move forward. And I know I went all on a tangent, man. You know, but I'm just talking, man.
Coach.
Let me grooving, Coach. We got a couple of questions we want to give to you. We're officially in overtime territory right now, guys. I know, and you guys are loving it, and I see you guys are watching. Make sure you're on the Facebook feed, share the show right now, and because the answers to a lot of these questions will probably take many people on a great blast to the past. And which we're gonna start off with this: take you back to your days in Oregon, right?
Yeah.
Which spot did you face the best talent? Matt Dishman Center or Irving Park?
Ooh, that's somebody that's from Portland.
Yeah.
They gotta be from Portland.
Yeah.
Okay, the first thing I'll say is, guys, is for all the people from out there in Houston, I'll never forget when we drafted Clyde Drexler and Clyde came up to Irvington Park. Man, boy, I remember Clyde came up there with that afro, man, and he came a hoop. Yeah, you know, and he was, you know, Clyde, he had a couple with him too. You know, I was just a little boy back then. I said, Jesus Christ, man, is this what that NBA look like?
Yeah.
but don't worry, he's divorced now from now back then.
But but now you know what's crazy? That's a tough question, but I'll say it's not where I played against the best competition, but Matt Dishman taught me everything. That's where me and Terrell Brandon grew up at.
Okay.
So that was the community center that me and Terrell grew up at. I played for I forget, actually, look, they just called us, our team was just Matt Dishman, not Street. His team was called Groove Factor. You know, his team was called Groove Factor, but you know, Matt Dishman, man, you know, it's one of those community centers where, you know, we all got them. They're in every community in the country, man. You know, that's where you getting your first fight. That's where you win one, you get whooped. You know, it's just a lot of things that go on there, man. I grew up there, man. I grew up there as a kid. I grew up there as a basketball player. And it was amazing, man. And I love that place, and it holds a special place in my heart. And my former coaches up there, you know, put 10 dudes in one car, man, go feed us, you know, take us all home, didn't pull off from the house until everybody got in. Like, you know, so Matt Dishman, man, that's where I learned a lot of things from.
Wow. No, Jimmy, go, Jimmy.
Do you, first basketball, do you feel that left-handed shooters like yourself are better pure jump shot shooters? And as a coach, would you prefer a scoring point guard or a playmaker?
I do think with the exception of Steph Curry, the way that thing looked coming off his hands, I do think left-handers are naturally pure shooters. I really do. In terms of what I look for,
Steph Curry left-handed?
No, I said other than Steph Curry being right-handed, that I feel like lefties are, you know, for the most part, pure shooters. I do. My cousin Salim, I thought Salim was a knockdown, pure shooter. You know what I mean? But you know, in terms of what I like in point guard, you know what's crazy is I don't really know. You know, what's crazy. I feel like I do a great job, but the one thing that I'll be honest with is I haven't struggled at point guard, but I haven't found a scoring point guard yet. I got a really good young point guard on my team right now. He was 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, one of the top freshmen in the country. But I haven't been able to find that scoring point guard. I just haven't. I think that for me, I would like to have one, but you know, you got to find one. You got to find one, or you can develop one too. But it's always been hard because in the conference that I'm in, you know, if you take all freshmen, man, you're gonna get your brains beat in. You can't be in this conference and you know, be grooming guys because you're gonna be good every 3-4 years.
I got one for you, Dan.
Okay.
They said, why do so many coaches feel that guys that have played the game at a high level are perceived as bad coaches? Damon just expressed it on how we guys played, viewed the game, and coached it. Because a lot of people, because I remember some coaches was telling me earlier, this is before you and Penny and them came up, about they don't want to hire NBA guys. Y'all don't want to put in the grind. And when I see guys like you and Penny and Jerry Stackhouse and Juwan Howard, and I'm seeing y'all and how y'all outwork. I'm watching y'all on the road. I've watched these guys on the road, and it's amazing. But how do you feel the guys? I mean, people have that perception about y'all that y'all perceived as bad coaches because y'all played at such a high level. It's crazy to me. And you know what, guys, I was thinking about. It's funny you even asked that question because I thought about that question because I felt like somebody was going to ask that question. And you know what? I don't know why the perception is there. I just kind of live with it. You know what I mean? Because I know what I do. You know what I mean? I know what I do. I study the game. I study my craft.
You know, I put in work. I haven't been given a thing. You know, I volunteered at Rice. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, for me, man, I paid my dues. You know, I've earned the right to be a head coach. And I feel at times I feel at times like I get viewed differently, but I'm good with that. But then I say to myself sometimes, you know, and how do I say this without, I want to say this without bringing it to like pulling race cards and all that stuff, because it ain't about that, right? But Bryce Drew, didn't he play in the NBA?
Yeah.
Okay, we know he played in the NBA. He was a first round pick. Man, his last job, he was like 1-17 in conference.
Right.
But he's a good coach. Like, we all have down years, man.
Right.
Bryce is a coach.
Right.
Okay. He's won a lot of games. He just got Grand Canyon, and he's going to do a heck of a job over there at Grand Canyon. Dan Marley, right?
Yes.
Dan Marley. Now he got let go at Grand Canyon, but Dan Marley, he had 7 consecutive winning seasons.
That's right. That's right.
He played in the NBA, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, now let me give you this last one, because for whatever reason, they always say, you know, to your point, when they bring these things up, they say Stoudemire, Penny, see how Juwan Howard, didn't Tony Bennett play in the NBA, guys?
Very briefly, but yes.
But this is what I say.
Right.
Very briefly, but he was a first round pick.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Tony Bennett is one. Like
Rick Carlisle. Rick Carlisle.
Yeah, I guess where I'm going with this is, and I said this because I didn't want to make it. I don't want to make it like I'm saying they pick on color. I don't want to make it like that. That's why I'm bringing up these other guys that say that's a well-rounded list of guys, man. Yeah. Like, you can't just sit up here and say like we haven't had success. Like, it's your opinion if you say we don't grind. That's your opinion, and anybody can live with that. I can live with somebody's opinion,
right?
You know, but I'm just saying, like, we all do great jobs in our own way, man. This isn't easy, and I think each one of us know that this is not easy. It's not college athletics is not easy. The one thing that I would share, and I would say to anybody, any NBA player that's getting into this, do not rely on your name, because these New Jacks don't care about your name. You know what I'm saying? They don't. You got to go out there. You got to grind. You got to do work. You got to have a great staff. You got to have blind trust with your staff. You got to have a staff that got energy. You know, you got to get them delegations so they feel a part of it. Yeah. You know, it's just certain things you got to do. You know, just like anything. You know, but I just feel like, you know, we get bad raps, man. We get bad raps, NBA players. We do. We get bad raps. And like I said, I'm speaking for myself. I worked my butt off, and I've worked hard to get to where I got. And I study guys. You know, I study a lot of coaches. I do. I study a lot of coaches. And there's a different way to do it. Everybody has their own way of how to get their job done. And just because this guy over here does not grind the way you want him to grind, don't mean that he don't get his job done. That doesn't mean that. I've played for Hall of Fame coach Lute Olson. Hall of Fame coach Lute Olson left at 3:30 every day because he was going to spend time with his family. Facts. You can ask anybody to play for him. He wasn't in the office till 8, 9 o'clock. That didn't make him successful. Okay? That didn't make him successful. What made him successful was relationships. Because whether you in Houston, Texas, or you in Anchorage, Alaska, what they'll tell you about Lute Olson is that, man, he was at the 8 o'clock game and he didn't leave until the 10 o'clock game was over. That's what he did. Everybody will tell you that. You know, he'll go break bread with the Jimmy Hicks of the world. He made Jimmy Hicks feel like he Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, that's
I love Tucson, boy. He ain't lying about that.
Yeah, that's what he did. You know, it's just, you know, sometimes like I say, sometimes us NBA guys, we get bad rap, but don't categorize us and put us in two different categories. You know, that's all I'm saying. Don't put us in two different categories.
Now, here's a question in with that related in with that is that related to that conversation. I'm sorry. Do you think that a lot of people, since you become a head coach, you know, that after that first wave, you know, I look over at Michigan when Juwan Howard got that job. It was a wave, like when, you know, we saw when Penny got that job at first. It was a wave. Everybody, you know, it was cute. Pat Ewing got the job over at Georgetown. It was a wave. You know, then now, do you think once that wave subsides, do you think that a lot of people become hesitant to send their kids to the successful black head coach?
You know what? It's funny. It's funny you asked that that question. I don't think, this is what I say, and I don't think that it's the head coach. I don't think that it's the head coach itself. Sometimes I wish, and it goes back to what I said earlier, guys. Sometimes when you look in a PSA's eyes and you look in his parents' eyes, you just wish that they trusted and believed in you for what you were saying, you know, whether you came to the school or not. You know, the thing about it is that this is all I would say. Okay, let's be fair with it, and let's hold each coach accountable the same way. Let's not cut one coach slack more than the other. You know what I mean? Because you know what goes on, like, you know, and usually it'd be the assistant coach. That's what I'm saying. It's usually the assistant coach to take all the slack. But what happens is you know, you have a lot of, you might have the assistant coach who got the relationship, say, with the AAU coach, and then the AAU coach has the relationship with the family. So that's the whole connection. And then what happens is that, you know, at times, I'm not saying all the time, but at times, and this is an example for your question, the AAU coach will start slandering the African-American assistant coach. He mad at him. And then we our own worst enemy. You
Keep
know
on preaching, bro. I've been saying that 4 years on this show, but keep going.
And that's what I don't get sometimes. I get disappointed in that. I get disappointed in that because it's already hard in this business. And I don't think guys understand that. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, I don't think that it's that they don't want to come play for the successful black coaches. You know, I just think that let's hold everybody to the same standard, man. So at some point, the successful black coaches out there had to get an opportunity and a chance to be successful. You know, a mentor and a guy that I just admire a lot is Leonard Hamilton. And I admire him for a lot of different reasons. But you want to know the biggest reason I admire him? Because he has his own way and uniqueness of going about how he needs to go about getting his business done. But you never hear him self-promoting. You never hear him talking about anything that he does. And this joker gonna have more pros than anybody as of late. He keep a pro or two a year.
Yeah.
And nobody ever say nothing.
That's not a top one. That's not a McDonald's All-American.
Exactly. So you know, I just, you know, man, I think that we got to do a better job. When I say we, I just think as the culture.
Okay.
You know, as the culture. You know, I think we can all do a better job. You know, I think we can. I think we can all do a better job from coast to coast too. I think we can of empowering. You know, empowering guys, so we don't even got to ask that type of question, because it's a legitimate question, Jimmy. It's a legitimate question, and I know a lot of guys and behind the scenes I talk to that to a lot of people, and it disappoints me, man, when I see certain things. It does. You know, I got a call in December, you know, and it was just crazy. You know, I won't go into it, but it was just crazy. I was like, wait, what? And I was like, oh man, come on, man. One of them things I would have to tell you off the grid.
We definitely get it.
It was just amazing. It was just amazing what I heard, and then I was like, this is crazy, man. This is so crazy. But anyway,
we definitely got to get better, and that's the thing, being consciously aware of it, and because it is definitely out there that in that topic, and it was to how a lot of the people of influence will hold a double standard when at the coaches, the minority coaches or the coaches of color, and while giving others an immediate pass. And that is something, definitely a topic that I plan on addressing a lot more of the coaches and picking their thoughts on. Meanwhile, shifting gears as we get ready to land this plane, and that is we have a question. I'll bundle them together. First, David Dennis says, tells you what's happening. He sees you. He's on the feed right now, and a former a college coach over at Georgia Perimeter back in the days.
That's my man.
He says, now, one of the viewers, I patched that question with a question that David Dennis had. And the viewer says, how did it feel in the Sky Dome when you beat the 72-10 Bulls team by 1 point while you were an expansion team during a game that you know MJ did not want to lose against you guys? And part two of that question is, give us your thoughts about The Last Dance. And if there are two things out of The Last Dance that you did not know.
You know what? The first thing is when we won that game, you know, that was big for our franchise. It was. The other day, we had a Zoom call, and you know, it was Isaiah and it was some of the, you know, the other owners, and you know, it's a lot of backdrop to go into a lot of different things, man. But you know, we was talking about that game, and that was just big for our franchise. You know, we only won 21 games. I think 20 or 21 games, but to beat them, man, you know, it was such a great feat. You know, it was a bunch of joy, and I put in work. You know, so you know, it was really fun. It was, you know, I mean, it was the highlight. It was, other than winning Rookie of the Year, it was the highlight of my season for sure. You know, The Last Dance, I thought, you know, I always tell people these things, man, you know, because now that it's over, so now you hear everybody coming out with this and that, and like I always say to people, man, I'm like, man, that wasn't MJ's words, man. I mean, you know, I don't know, you know, I didn't know a lot of those backstories. Some of those backstories I didn't know. You know, and I think the thing that I took away from the most is because I wasn't there every day. I didn't realize who and how big Michael Jordan really was. I knew he was a good hooper, you know, but it wasn't like he was coming, you know, it wasn't like we was in the same spots, you know what I mean? So I just can't imagine how popular he would be today, man, with everything that's going on with social media, because it wasn't no social media. And I just don't know if guys is, I don't, you know, and I've been removed from the NBA now for a while, so I don't know if dudes is waiting at the hotels at 2-3 in the morning anymore. I just don't know if that's happening. That's one thing. Yeah, that's one thing. But do they do? They do. Yep. Yeah. That's one thing. But probably the second takeaway that I took from that is that I didn't realize, and you know, you hear stories, you hear different things. I didn't realize how competitive dude was. you know, the edge that he wanted on somebody. You know what I mean? Like, you know, he wanted to beat everybody and everything. You know, I just didn't realize that. And let me just add a third thing. Man, we gotta give my man Phil Jackson, man, kudos, man. Phil was, listen, man, Phil is good at managing people. Like, being the manager of people is better than being a good basketball coach in the NBA. I'm a firm believer on that. He got Michael Jordan to buy in to the triangle. Then he was able to, along with Michael, basically keep that team together through a 3-year run that, you know, we all sit up from afar and we watched it. But now to see it up close, we didn't know how close that thing was from dismantling the same way it was. They three-peat. You know
Right,
I mean?
right.
So,
That's right.
you know, just we didn't know that. And those are those backstories that for us it was great to see, because we just wouldn't have never known that.
Well, man, and we can just listen to you all day, man.
No,
That's what we just
yeah,
now.
yeah.
I'm sitting there, we just riding, and I thought Harold was driving the car. I'm in the back seat. I'm just chilling in the back seat, and you just talking. We just go. But this was a great combo, a great blast to the past, as promised. And the one question that we'll leave you toss at you is, and that is, one of the viewers asked, what's your dream job? And would you take an HBCU job? Two different questions, but what's your dream job? Would you take an the thing about it recently, you mentioned Mo Williams at the top of your convo. Mo just took Alabama State. Would you take an HBCU job?
Well, first, I don't even have a dream job. I'm in it and I'm just kind of flowing, you know. I don't have a prerequisite of what I'm looking for. I just know I'll never do something that I don't like to do. That's all I do know. You know, if I don't like it, I'm not gonna do it. But I don't have a dream job. You know, and in terms of an HBCU, I've never had a problem with taking any job that was presented to me. I mean, truth be told, there's probably 100 people listening here saying, man, where he coach at now? They don't even know where I coach at right now. I'm at University of the Pacific. Okay. And you know, we've been able in the WCC with Gonzaga, with BYU, with St. Mary's, with San Francisco. We have a really good conference, Pepperdine, really, 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 really good conference. And 2 out of my first 4 years here, we finished in the top 4. This year we won 11 games in conference and came in 3rd place. And truth is, you know, that's hard to do in this conference. But I don't really have a preference. I respect HBCUs. I think that, truth be told, I think that there are good HBCU jobs out there. I really do. I think that there are good jobs. Unfortunately, for some of them, as you guys know, because you have friends in the business, right. You know, there's some of the HBCUs that high majors, mid majors alike don't want to play. They're dangerous games. They really are. They're dangerous games, you know, because you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't in certain respects. But I respect HBCUs. I think that the grind is the grind. And me starting here at Pacific, you know, getting my first head coaching gig, it taught me to grind. So that grind, it doesn't bother me. You know, me living in Houston for so long, for instance, you know, TSU, you know, right now Johnny's there, and you know Johnny doing a good job. But I'm just saying, like, you know, before Johnny, you know, you had some dudes. You had some dudes. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's just, you know, it's a lot of respect that I have. all the HBCUs. And like I said, I really don't have no problem with it. I'm waiting for the day, truthfully, where they get a top 100 player out of high school instead of getting them on the bounce back. You know, when that day happens, you know, it'll really get real. You know what I mean? I think that, you know, right now, I think a couple guys have taken visits and did things of that nature, you know, but, you know, I couldn't even imagine, you know, to get the full facility of being at a HBCU as a student athlete and then being a good basketball player. Could you imagine being at a HBCU, being a good basketball player, being a potential draft pick? You got the best of both worlds.
Yep.
You had the best of both worlds, man. But you know, like I said, I can't reiterate it enough. I think that a lot of those guys do great jobs, and you know, a lot of them deserve different opportunities too.
Well, man, hey, Coach, we definitely appreciate it, man. You chopping it up with us on the chop shop. We took it all the way to the low fuel light blinking right now.
Yes.
So we've been riding. It's time to get on over. Get on up in there.
It's the longest show ever.
No, I mean it's a good. I mean in a good way.
Yeah.
I mean understand. A great combo. We started this thing off, guys, with a surprise announcement, a college announcement. Ramon Walker, guys, going to U of H. That's great. Followed by Tony Stubblefield with some great combo as he defined the APR to a lot of people and quenched the thirst of a lot of people who really did not understand how the APR works and what encompasses it. And then we ended things up with Damon Stoudemire, who has just knocked it out of the park with just a heart-to-heart with you guys. And we want to thank everybody from tuning in on both platforms as we stream live, YouTube and Facebook. We want to ask you guys on Facebook to take out the time to go over to our YouTube page and subscribe to the page. And because our digital footprint on that side of the fence is what is really, really going to be measured as far as in corporate America, as we push for the Chop Shop to increase our digital footprint all over and to make the Chop Shop better and better as we have strived to do so by our actions. And you see, it just keeps getting better and better. Coming up tomorrow on the Chop Shop, we're not going to stop. We're going to have, it's going to be grassroots conversation. And we're going to have a couple of grassroots programs that's going to come and talk with you guys and explain about their programs and you know, just what they're going through and how they're, and just what's in the ifs and the nuts and bolts of what goes on. And those will be the Houston Defenders is going to join us, and also DFW's Southern Assault, which is a combination of Jazzy and Von Zell's programs. They merged together to make the equivalent of Dallas's Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. Those two will join us tomorrow, and we have another third program that's going to be a surprise. It's going to come in on and join us on this Thursday. Be sure to have your questions prepared, and then also coming on, we'll let you know tomorrow. We're not sure or not whether we plan to broadcast on Monday, which is a holiday or not. It has not been customarily that we broadcast on holidays, but we'll let you guys know how we will work before tomorrow's showing. We will let you know that much. But Hatter, what you got?
Man, I'm good, man. I just love. I was thinking about Damon Stoudemire, y'all, and thinking about Penny, and I've shared with both of those young men how blessed they are and the situation. That think about this, y'all. Before we get off this, it's gonna be real quick. 450. It's just 450 NBA players. It really just 4,000 in the history of the NBA. 4,000 players. Penny and Damon were in that small fraternity, right? Now it ain't but 350 Division I coaches all over the world, Jimmy. And these guys are one of those too. These guys, I told both of them, y'all hit the lottery twice. You're part of one of the unique fraternities in the NBA, and you're part of this this fraternity at the NCAA Division I basketball coaches that ain't but 350. The last 2 days, you had two guys that this stuff just don't happen. Lightning has struck twice in their lives and in their families' lives. So, and we were blessed enough to have these guys come on and share their lives and their experience with it. Penny, by the way, Chop Shop and Boom Boom Room, Penny texted me, said, man, I had more fun on this show than any show that I ever go on. He texted me back right after the show. So, and it's because of y'all's questions, because, you know, it takes all of us. Jimmy and I just a small part of this puzzle. And I'm just thankful that I'm a part of this fabric, like I said the other day, that be able to bring it to you, Jimmy. So that's all I got to say, man. It's a long day. I got a little work to do.
Oh man, I got to run now. I got 2 meetings to get to, and then get on back in.
Wear your mask now.
Hey guys, thanks so much. You guys know what time it is. It's time to slide on down Dino's back and yabba dabba do this thing. I've never went this long without a single bottle of water on the show. I'm like, wow. So you guys know I'm tapped all the way out right now. And so if you try to reach me right now, give me, as they do after the ball game, give me that 15-minute cooling off period before you call me. I got to go. I'm going to lock room.
Jim Hicks, Rob Hatter. You are now tuned in to the Chop Shop. I'm Retro. Let's get it. We in the Chop Shop. We live in the Chop Shop. We talking sports talk. We live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop. I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up. It's live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop. We live in the Chop Shop. We talking sports talk. We live in the Chop Shop.